Okay, I'm not Catholic, but in the spirit of Lent, let me give up a little bit of my sleep time that I would be otherwise spending sleeping or, you know, reading or playing games. Instead, reading all the public comments left for Iowa House File 2332, the really controversial bill relating to elective abortion and infanticide, providing penalties and including effective date provisions that was supposed to meet uh, this past Tuesday, the 17th of February, 2026, at 8:30 in the morning. Assigned that time the day before, and it was canceled. And what I've noticed is that they cancel these meetings because they can tell that the public comment is so there that the in real life representation of these voices would also be very strong, and they'd have a hard time passing the bill. Right. Like turning it, like moving it to the next step in the process, which I have here on the right side of the screen. Let's see if I can make this up a little smaller. Um, and I want to thank everyone who wrote. So I'm going to read their words, and this is going to be something I exchanged my time for, I guess, this Lent. Um, I'm fasting alongside a few of my Muslim friends, like in solidarity, and also, it's I'm not pregnant, right? I've done intermittent fasting before. Like, I don't have a health condition that prevents it. I'm not diabetic. I'm not on certain medications, right? So I have the privilege and I have the opportunity, and I've decided to uh, fast. And in this season, trying to be a more Christ-like, improved upon, reflective person. Let me reflect on a lot of these words that people have to say. Brooklyn said, oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare and it should not be criminalized. Women should not have to live in fear, and a fetus should not have more rights than a woman. This is heartbreaking, and I'm so disappointed in Iowa's lawmakers. Nicole, do not pass this bill. This should not be a concern of law. This should only be a decision between the patient and the medical professionals. Connor, gross overreach of the legislative process. There is no ethical or moral argument to be made that justifies this. But my religious beliefs, you may say, that's just it. Your religious beliefs are not mine. You are the captain of no ship but your own. Megan, this is no business of legislators. This is a medical practice like a vasectomy, but I don't see any legislation preventing those. Not to mention, this is against the Constitution of Iowa. Stick to the things we pay you to do. Allocate our taxes properly for services that help Iowans. Quit wasting time and taxpayer dollars coming up with problems and do your jobs. Anita, please oppose House File 2332. I oppose this bill because it restricts women's access to essential health care and places their lives at risk. While I understand the desire to protect the unborn, I believe a woman's life and well being must carry equal weight. This legislation would create an environment where medical professionals, especially OBGYN physicians, may feel unable to provide necessary care without fear of criminal consequences. That is not good for patients, for providers, or for the future of healthcare in our state. I have 8 young women in my life whom I care about deeply, and I worry for their health and safety if this bill moves forward. Although I would never choose abortion for myself and have taught my children that it is not a choice they need to make, I cannot in good conscience take that right away from others, especially when their health or lives may depend on it. Okay, Cynthia, I am absolutely opposed to passing this law. Abortion is healthcare, and passing this law will remove that. Every woman has a right to do what they want with their body, and passing this law will remove that right. A law shouldn't govern and decide what people get to do with their own body, especially in these circumstances. In some cases, aborting the unborn fetus is critical to saving the woman's life due to complications that pregnancy and childbirth may cause. Not only that, but in other cases, the woman is most likely aborting the fetus because she doesn't have the funds or resources to raise a child. That fetus will be brought into the world and kept by the mother living in dire circumstances that no child should live in. But the child could also be given up for adoption and brought into foster care where they will be neglected and abused with the thousands of other kids in the system as well. In the end, passing this law will do more harm than good. I mean, I agree with that. With the whole like pro-life is like the whole life of a person, right? You can't just be like conception and birth. What about the rest of life? Mateo, I oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare. Megan, criminalizing abortion is government overreach at its worst. Pregnancy decisions should stay between individuals and their doctors. Full stop. I do not want the state of Iowa policing my uterus and telling me what I can and can't do with my body as a woman. This bill will only create more fear, further delay care, and hurt real Iowa families. Hans, abortion is sometimes medically necessary. Keep it safe and legal. Jillian, vote no on House File 2332. The bill will significantly increase risks to women's health. Mothers living in states with total abortion bans are twice as likely to die during pregnancy, childbirth, or soon after giving birth, compared to women who live in states where abortions are legal and accessible. In the year after the state of Texas implemented their abortion ban, their maternal mortality rate went up 56%. Again, sorry. Combined with the continuing deterioration of our medical care systems across the state, especially in rural areas, passing this bill would be a death sentence for many Iowa women. I'm not cross-checking these stats, but something tells me the power of highlighting, right-clicking. N. Politicians have no place in medicine. They can barely read the documents they propose. Bodily autonomy should be an inalienable right. Judy, this bill is unethical. The old white men have no business telling a woman what she can and can't do with her body. Oppose this bill. Claire, oppose this bill. It is a stupid governmental overreach. Bills like this get people killed and will result in even more people leaving the state. Do not support this bill. Stacy, I strongly oppose House File 2332. This bill is an extreme and dangerous government overreach that criminalizes abortion at conception and escalates penalties up to life without parole. It threatens doctors with prosecution, invites fear and confusion in medical emergencies, and prioritizes political ideology over evidence-based care. By redefining feticide, feticide? Feticide, and removing key elements of consent and trimester limits, it opens the door to sweeping criminal liability with devastating consequences for providers and families. This legislation will not make Iowa safer. It will drive physicians out of our state, delay critical care, and endanger women facing pregnancy complications. Decisions about pregnancy belong to patients and their doctors, not politicians. Iowa families deserve compassionate, medically sound policy, not punitive laws that strip away autonomy and put lives at risk. Reject House File 2332. William, House File 2332 is a dangerous and extreme bill that Iowa should reject. This bill expands criminal law into private medical decisions and uses fear and punishment to enforce ideology. By redefining abortion and expanding feticide laws, House File 2332 exposes doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and support networks to serious felony charges. When medical professionals fear prosecution, care is delayed or denied, even in emergencies. Although the bill claims pregnant people would not be prosecuted, it simply shifts liability onto everyone else involved. Pregnancy is unpredictable. Miscarriages and complications are common. House File 2332 blurs the line between medical outcomes and criminal acts, inviting investigations during moments of loss. Iowa already struggles with access to maternity care. This bill will drive providers away and reduce services while offering no support for families or health care. House File 2332 relies on punishment, not solutions, and should be rejected. Mighty, or mighty. I am a medical student at the University of Iowa and I urge you to vote no on House File 2332. Bills like this make it increasingly undesirable for medical students and residents to stay and practice in the state where we are trained. Iowa is already facing a significant physician shortage, and we have one of the lowest OBGYN to patient ratios in the nation. Further criminalizing aspects of reproductive care and increasing felony penalties for physicians will only exacerbate workforce shortages and make recruitment and retention even more difficult. As trainees, we are choosing where to build our careers. Many of us want to stay in Iowa to serve our communities, especially in rural and underserved areas. However, legislation that introduces severe criminal liability into complex medical decision making creates uncertainty, fear, and professional risk that pushes future physicians to practice elsewhere. Iowa cannot afford to lose more physicians. Please vote no on House File 2332. Craig gave an attachment. I am writing as a constituent to respectfully urge you to oppose House File 2332. While I understand the desire to protect life, this bill creates severe and well-documented risks to pregnant women by criminalizing medical judgment and restricting care in emergencies. States that have enacted similar laws have already shown us the consequences, and Iowa should not repeat their mistakes. Is my camera crooked? Across the country, strict abortion bans have led to delays in treating miscarriages, sepsis, ectopic pregnancies, and other life-threatening complications. In Texas, for example, multiple women have filed lawsuits after being denied care until they were at risk of organ failure. In Tennessee, physicians reported being forced to wait until a patient was crashing before intervening because the law's criminal penalties created fear and confusion. These are not hypotheticals. They are documented outcomes reported by major medical associations and covered extensively by national news outlets. House File 2332 would expose Iowa physicians to Class A felony charges for providing care that is standard practice everywhere else in the country. Even with Even with exemptions for the pregnant woman, the bill's language places doctors in an impossible situation. Choose between protecting a patient's life or risking life imprisonment. This is not how safe, ethical medical care works. Major medical organizations, including the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, have warned that laws like this increase maternal morbidity, worsen outcomes for wanted pregnancies, and drive physicians out of states where they fear prosecution. Iowa already faces provider shortages. House File 2332 would accelerate that trend. Iowa families deserve a healthcare system where doctors can act quickly in emergencies without lawyers and prosecutors standing between them and their patients. House File 2332 does not protect life, it endangers it. For these reasons, I respectfully ask you to vote no on House File 2332. Thank you for your time and your service to our state. Maria. I strongly oppose House File 2332 in any effort to enact a total abortion ban in Iowa. Reproductive health care decisions are deeply personal and complex. They should remain between patients, their families, and their medical providers, not politicians. A total abortion ban would strip Iowans of bodily autonomy, interfere with medical care, and put women's health and safety at risk. Iowa families deserve the freedom to make private medical decisions without government intrusion. This bill would move our state backward and create fear and uncertainty for patients and providers alike. I urge you to reject House File 2332 and protect the reproductive rights and healthcare access of Iowans. Thomas. I oppose this bill. Concerns over pregnancy should be left to the patient and their doctor. This is legislative overreach, and 64% of Iowans support legal abortion. Karen. I strongly oppose the bill. Iowa ranks 44th in the nation for physicians per capita, and it lost 31 obstetric units from 1999 to 2023, making areas of the state OB deserts. I talked with a number of people in my county and also in the Northwest in regards to abortions, Pocahontas County, and 80 to 90% of the people were against the government, both state and federal, meddling in Iowans' healthcare. These were rural and urban Iowans. The most common comment was, "It isn't any of their business." I also did not have one physician support anti-abortion legislation, and they do not welcome increased malpractice insurance rates or going to jail for saving a woman's life. No physician is ever sure as to when a woman is at death's door, so how can a lawyer or state determine this? It is better to have a live mother there for her children than a dead one. If this legislature took better care of its residents, especially children and families, we would not be here having this conversation. Or we would not be having this conversation. Our state has lost a lot of ground. That's right. Say it again, Karen. Martha. Iowa ranks last in the nation for the number of OBGYNs per capita, with the lowest provider to population ratio among all U.S. states. 66 of Iowa's 99 counties lack access to OBGYN services. Do you know if your district is one of those counties? No, mine isn't. Mine has them. Currently. Have you asked those women in your district how they feel about this bill? Perhaps they would prefer to discuss their health with their doctor without you in the room legislating the conversation. The severe shortage is attributed to high liability costs and restrictive reproductive care laws, not to mention possible death of women, or the medical doctor charged with murder. That statistic means over 60% of Iowans live in counties considered maternity care deserts, leading to increased maternal and infant health and death risks. Here is a novel idea. Let's legislate Viagra, vasectomies, and just men's health care in general. Let's concentrate on bigger issues, such as all the Iowans getting cancer and drinking contaminated water. Chelsea. I am opposed to this bill. This bill is dangerous to women and medical caregivers. This is not what Iowans need. Stephen. I strongly oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare. Jennifer. What happened to religious freedom? There are religions that require abortion in certain circumstances which this bill would prohibit. If you don't want an abortion, don't have one. Stop making healthcare decisions political. Elysiana. As a state, we do not have nearly the support systems in place that would allow for something like this to be safe for Iowans. Never mind the right to choose what happens with your body. We have a government okay with cutting off free lunch programs and taking money away from public schools. I wholeheartedly oppose this bill, and I'm disappointed in my state government for continuing to bring this issue to the forefront when they don't seem to care about our children at all. Man. Rachel. I strongly oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare. If this bill passes, many women will lose their lives due to this legislative overreach. Vote no. Full name, Jungle Cat. I don't understand why we always choose to go backwards. There's no reason for us to take away anyone's rights. Anyone who votes to pass should be held responsible and accountable for everything that has to do with the forcing of a woman to go through the pregnancy. meaning paying for all the medical bills and taking care of the children forced to be birthed. Samuel, women currently make up around 50% of Iowa's population. Nearly every single woman I have spoken to in this state believes abortions should be accessible, as it is entirely their decision and should be considered a healthcare procedure. Trampling on the rights of nearly half of your state's population will not end well. Sending these women to prison for choosing what to do with their bodies is egregious. If you really cared about children, as this guy claims, you would focus on more pressing issues, such as raising minimum wage and not protecting pedophiles, to make sure these children live good lives. It entirely seems as if you only care about these children's lives until they are born. If a mother or a family cannot afford to have a child, what are the consequences there? There are a plethora of reasons a woman could want or need an abortion, none of which are your concern. Stop treading on women's bodies, you bootlickers. Your effer molested children. Good day. So that's against. Mark, here is a concise version of your letter that keeps your main arguments in emotional tone while saying, oh, this guy had a. Uh, get rid of that AI response. It's like, I mean, you're trying though. I don't want to be like against it, you know. And Mark, right? The Mark's rocking with us. And honestly, it's like if that's what the AI response is, let's not get let's get what would a response be if this was like the prompt fed to it, like reverse engineering it. It's like write me something under 1,000 characters that keeps these arguments blah 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 blah, and you know my emotional tone of what I said beforehand, and then it says, how do I strengthen this argument? What is the existing evidence based off this, work or task? That says, dear representative, urge you to oppose. Well, I understand. States with similar laws have seen delays in treating miscarriages, sepsis, and ectopic pregnancies leading to life-threatening harm. Major medical groups warn such laws increase maternal deaths and drive doctors away. I mean, yeah, all this stuff. Louisa, opposed. I am writing respectfully to urging you to oppose House File 2332. While I understand the desire to protect life, this bill creates severe and well-documented risks to pregnant women by criminalizing medical judgment and restricting care in emergencies. States that have enacted similar laws have already shown us the consequences, and Iowa should not repeat their mistakes. Across the country, strict abortion bans have led to delays in treating miscarriages, sepsis, ectopic pregnancies, and other life-threatening complications. In Texas, for example, multiple women have filed lawsuits after being denied care until they were at risk of organ failure. In Tennessee, physicians reported being forced to wait until a patient was crashing before intervening because the law's criminal penalties created confusion. I assume like a apostrophe. These are not hypotheticals. They are documented outcomes by major medical associations and covered extensively by national news outlets. Man, some of the stuff might be LLM inspired. And if not, Louisa times two. Juliana, strongly oppose House File 2332. Making abortion illegal increases maternal death rates. It forces physicians to make decisions based on legal liability, not based on best care for their patients. This bill is disgusting overreach and will kill women. We have seen maternal death rates increase after similar bans in other states like Texas. Ignoring facts does not make them go away. This bill will kill women. Derek, this bill is an affront to the freedom of body autonomy. What a person decides for their health care treatment is between them and their doctor. This bill removes any chance at women's health anonymity. You hypocrites that preach small government and then make a bill like this are deplorable. David, if you want people to stay in the state and have more children, you need to make sure that reproductive health care is available and safe. This bill will have the opposite effect. Why would I risk getting someone I love pregnant in a state where, if anything funny happens with the pregnancy, it could turn into a death sentence? No on House File 2332. Erica, vote no for House File 2332. For so many reasons. Protect life by protecting women in danger in various medical situations. Government should not be involved in making medical decisions. OBGYN physicians are leaving in record numbers for fear of practicing basic medical care. It breaks my heart, and both men and women support the makes you think. Deborah, vote no on this bill. I oppose it. Healthcare decisions should be made by the patient and their healthcare provider, not the Iowa legislature. Lisa, a woman and her doctor should be free from prosecution. The woman's decision is hers to make. Safely, she needs to see the doctor who is acting in her best interest. We should be allowed these freedoms without the government interfering. Catherine, oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare. Rebecca, please vote opposed to House File 2332. This bill will make our health deserts worse. No healthcare provider wants to risk a felony for helping a woman with her healthcare. Laws like these kill women and babies. Jesse, vote opposed on House File 2332. Reproductive rights are human rights. Kendra, women must retain control over their own bodies. We must trust women to do what is best for themselves and their families. Government needs to back the fuck off and ask itself if it would ever censor men's bodies. It wouldn't. It would not. Lindsay, oppose this bill. Medical decisions of this kind should be left up to the individual and their medical provider. Government involvement in limiting choices related to healthcare or criminalizing medical care is out of line. We already struggle to find good women's health providers, and this will make it even harder. Please do not force women to suffer in this way. Lisa, oppose. Reproductive health care should be between a woman and her doctor. This bill would put more women in danger and deter more doctors from practicing in Iowa. Remember when Republicans used to be for smaller government? Apparently it's so small now it can fit in vaginas. Ashley, do not pass this bill. The majority of Iowans understand how dangerous and complicated pregnancy is, and the access to necessary health care is vital to life, health, and freedom. There is no science that can unequivocally show when life begins. There isn't a religious consensus, not that religion should dictate laws, of when life begins, and we know without a shadow of a doubt, when access to abortion becomes illegal, more women die. Abortion numbers don't decline, but infant and maternal mortality do rise. Making abortion illegal is one of the least pro-life things you can do, though statistically. Or you can do statistically. I don't know why I believe that was a word. Well, one of the least pro-life things you can do statistically. You work for us. You work for Iowans. And you know the majority of us believe the government should not be a part of these medical decisions. It's too nuanced. It's too personal. It's too dangerous. Vote the people's will. We are saying no. If Iowans don't want abortion, don't have one. Forcing their choice on others is a huge violation of human rights. And a quick little breather too. Pope Leo, pro-life immigrant. You know, last season in the fall, Pope Leo said, "Someone who says I'm against abortion but is in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. And someone who says I'm against abortion but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life." Annette, vote no on this bill. This is a medical procedure that might be necessary to save a woman's life and should be made only by her, her spouse, and her physician, not the Iowa legislature. If this bill passes, you'll chase out OBGYN practitioners and young people wanting to start families. E. I am writing as a constituent to urge you to oppose HF 2332. This bill creates severe and well documented risks to pregnant women by criminalizing medical judgment and restricting care in emergencies. States that have enacted similar laws have already shown us the consequences, and Iowa should not repeat their mistakes. Across the country, strict abortion bans have led to delays in treating miscarriages, sepsis, ectopic pregnancies, and other life threatening complications. Laws like the one being proposed create fear and confusion in treatment options, resulting in subpar healthcare, which is already diminished by the state of healthcare today, driven by greed and lack of compassion, ding 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 ding, by all involved. Iowa also ranks last in the U.S. for the number of OBGYNs per capita as of 2025. This law will ensure the continuation of this shortage, ensuring all women will get lower quality of care, if any at all, regardless if they wish to exercise freedom of control over their bodies. I'm going to do a recount of these tallies at the very end. Anna, I implore you to not pass this bill under any circumstance. It is a violation of women's rights and dangerous to the person carrying a fetus. This will not stop abortions. It will instead stop safe ones. Women will die. Please do not pass this. Anna, a different one. I am writing as a constituent to urge you to oppose HF 2332. This bill creates severe and well documented risks to pregnant women by criminalizing medical judgment and restricting care in emergencies. States that have enacted similar laws have already shown us the consequences, and Iowa should not repeat their mistakes. Across the country, strict abortion bans have led to delays in treating miscarriages, sepsis, ectopic pregnancies, and other life threatening complications. Wait. This must have been a template. And I'm used to rereading it. I must have missed the template. Hmm. I am writing it to you as a constituent. I'm writing as a constituent. Yeah. So I'm writing as a constituent. Seems like it got some tracking. Oh my gosh. There's a lot more. We're reading it. Hashtag Lent. Yeah, and then Anna wrote again. And I mean, an original comment. This bill is a huge overreach of power. Not only will this bill not stop abortion, women's lives will be lost. If they don't have access to safe abortions, they will find potentially unsafe ways. Huge infringement on women's rights. Stop worrying about women's bodies and do your jobs. Anthony, I am writing as a constituent to urge you to oppose House File 2332. Check. Marilyn, uh, please oppose House File 2332. Women have a right to all health care necessary without interference from government. Keep your religious views out of the public's women's right to health care. Nicole, This is a huge legislative overreach and will have detrimental impacts on women's healthcare in the state. This is yet another issue that will have young people fleeing the state in droves, and it will most certainly deter physicians from wanting to come and practice in Iowa. Vote no on this bill. Shelley, this bill will cause severe consequences for women seeking healthcare while pregnant. You're not saving a life when the mother is at risk, in addition to the fetus, who likely is not viable either. This war on women's health must end. Controlling women is not going to make the country safe for anyone. We will remember who voted against our best interests. Norma opposed this bill. Abortion is healthcare and is very important to women who deserve the right to make their own decisions about their body and their life. The medical professionals who assist her with her abortion should not be prosecuted in any way, shape, or form. The decision to have an abortion should be left to the woman, her doctor, and her God. That's her God, not anyone else's religious beliefs or opinion. Passing this bill would be a huge overreach of the state, in my opinion. It's also the opinion of the majority of Americans, including those who reside in Iowa. Thomas, I am urging you, I'm sorry, I am writing to urge you to turn back House File 2332. Not long ago, I met a woman from Mount Pleasant who said she had one child on Earth. She meant that she had one living child and two who she lost while pregnant who lived in heaven. She is clearly a deeply religious person. She is staunchly pro-life. Yet she opposes laws that would criminalize all abortions because of her experience. She knows there are families who must make difficult decisions every day about their reproductive health, as she and her husband did. She does not want to make those decisions for those families, and she doesn't want government to make them either. She told me she fears for the loss of adequate prenatal care as obstetricians flee the state's regulations. She has a thoughtful, nuanced view of pregnancy, childbirth, and abortion, nuances that this bill lacks. This is an extreme and unnecessary measure. It will do nothing except generate lawyers' fees. Please do not advance it from subcommittee. Tom. Hannah, I oppose this bill. We have some of the highest cancer rates in the country, and instead of addressing that, this bill seeks to penalize women's health care. This is an absolutely disgusting piece of legislation that will, if passed, kill even more Iowans. Charles, please vote no on this bill. Abortion is women's health care. It should be decided by the woman, her family, and her doctor, not the government. Keep religion out of government. Mitchell, praise God. If murder is criminal, abortion should be too. Parentheses, because they're the same. Wait, can I flip this? Wait, can I? Against and for. I could have done this the whole time. We're going back to this way. To figure it out later. Katie, I absolutely oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare, and all these restrictions are an overreach of the government and deter people from having kids because of the dangers it imposes on the pregnant person. Lisa, opposed. Abortion is healthcare and a matter of autonomy. Abortion is not an issue to legislate and not something to decide for other people. No legitimate research, studies, experience, or expertise support abortion bans. When the only argument for forcing someone to give birth is religious ideology, you are erasing the separation of church and state. Banning abortion is cruel, unsafe, detrimental to people who wish to become pregnant in future, diminishing of constituent rights, and unjustifiable. It is manifestly dishonest. This bill is illegitimate and should be treated as such. Adriana, I oppose this bill that abortion is healthcare. Nicole, doctors will not practice in this state. If they are subject to a law like this, our youth will not stay. This is a violation of every right a woman has to live safely in Iowa. Do not advance this bill. Monica, I encourage all subcommittee members to vote no on this bill. Other states have pushed these types of bills through, and it is killing women. It is not a hypothetical question of whether or not this will harm women. It is documented in other states such as Texas and Kentucky. If you care about Iowans and you care about the life of women, there is no other moral vote than no. If you are unaware of the consequences of criminalizing abortions, then you need to research before voting. You vote yes, you vote to harm women, and also very likely make it where many will lose ovaries or fallopian tubes so they cannot grow their families in the future. People are not having abortions after 15 weeks unless there is a medical reason to do so. If you believe otherwise, then you have been misled by the media and need to read actual studies and statistics. But they're not going to do that, which is why I'm partially doing this. Deborah, abortion should be legal. Women should have the right to choose. Iowa is losing healthcare providers due to abortion bans. Providers do not want to come to Iowa when they are not free to practice medicine without legislative restrictions. Liz, a woman's right to choose must be respected. Access to healthcare shouldn't be denied. Government has no business inserting itself in a matter that is between a woman and her doctor. Carissa, I strongly oppose House File 2332 in any effort to enact any kind of abortion ban in Iowa. Reproductive health care decisions are deeply personal and complex. Politicians need to keep their nose and religious beliefs out of medical decisions that should be made between a woman and her healthcare providers. We are already losing doctors in the state of Iowa because of these types of bills and will continue to lose more. People do not want to live in the state of Iowa anymore because of the consistent legislative outreach made by the Iowa GOP. Please remember that you work for the people of Iowa, and the majority wants you to stay out of the business of women's healthcare decisions. There are so many other important things to focus on in Iowa right now, and this is not it. Rick, I am horrified by the bill. Why aren't we also requiring women to wear the veil? It's a little. Golly, do not pass this bill. Iowa is already the last in the country for OBGYN per capita, and this will only make it worse. Women will die from this. Aaron, oppose House File 2332. This is a gross overreach by the state. Kami? I oppose House File 2332 because medical decisions belong between a patient and their doctor, not politicians. By criminalizing healthcare providers and creating a total ban, this bill will drive medical professionals out of Iowa and worsen our existing healthcare deserts. Please vote against this harmful legislation and respect the autonomy of Iowan women. Adeline, oppose. These medical decisions are nuanced and should be between the patient and their doctor to figure out the best course of action for their situation. Kelly, please oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare and should not be criminalized. Daniel, to criminalize a private matter between a woman and her doctor is absurd. I stand firmly against this, as it is not the government's business how a woman chooses to handle her own health. Amanda, abortion is health care and decisions about it need to be between a woman and their doctor. Some women could die without access to it. People that are already alive should not be sacrificed for people that are not alive. Please focus on what you can do for children that are already alive, like their education, clean water and air, daycare, healthcare, etc. Our liberties we prize, our rights we will maintain. Anna, abortion is healthcare. While laws can restrict legal access to abortions, it cannot eliminate abortion rights without detrimentally affecting women's healthcare. A doctor who provides health services should not be penalized for protecting the health of a woman and her ability to provide for her family. Do not criminalize abortion care. Chad, I am a 54-year-old lifelong Iowan. I thought as a child I wanted to get out of Iowa ASAP, and then in college decided I was too in love with the Grant Wood landscapes to go anywhere. Oh, my dog. Oh. Oh. Gotcha, gotcha. This name has come up like a million times. Too in love with the Grantwood landscapes to go anywhere. I have a 23-year-old daughter who lives in Iowa. I would love for her to be able to stay in Iowa. As we have seen, young people are leaving Iowa in droves. This bill will only perpetuate that. Young girls and women should not have the government involved in their reproductive health decisions. This is government overreach at its finest. My adult daughter has rights to her own life and freedom of choice for her own body. Period, said this father. If a medical decision were ever to come about involving my daughter and my potential grandchild, I would want all options open, as every birth situation is unique. The last people I want involved in my daughter's health decisions is anyone who works in the state government. We live in a time of great medical advancements. This bill is throwing us back to the dark ages. Jennifer, strongly oppose. Women's rights to bodily autonomy and their own health care should not be up for debate. Criminalizing medical professionals for performing health care is ridiculous and will only drive professionals out of state and make it impossible to recruit more. This explains why Iowa is ranked 50th nationally for access to OBGYNs. Maggie, as a woman, I cannot stay silent while bills like this are rushed through. This is dangerous, this is reckless, and this is not what the people want. I am quite frankly tired of leaving public comments, making calls, and sending messages trying to figure out a way to word the people's concerns in a manner that might inspire a change of heart in the ones who hold the power. Just know that the people are angry. But more importantly, the people aren't stupid. We see exactly what you're doing, and we're not letting any of this happen without a fight. Josephine, decisions about one's health and the care that's best for them should remain between an individual and their medical provider. But it's apparent that gyneticians, I'm not sure if that's like a parody of the Republicans, in the Iowa legislature want to get up into Iowans' most personal and intimate business. And why? It's certainly not because they care about the children. They are so desperate to proclaim people with the full rights of citizens at the zygote stage. Otherwise, they'd fund programs for child care, early childhood education, affordable health care, and food support. It's clearly about punishing and oppressing women. It always has been. Oppose this bill and let Iowans get on with living their lives. Darren, opposed. Criminalizing abortion is a direct attack on women's rights to make their own healthcare decisions with the guidance of the physician of their choosing. Threatening healthcare providers with legal consequences for providing legitimate medical care will contribute even more to the already significant lack of OBGYNs in the state. This is a perfect example of the type of proposal that is driving the brain drain phenomenon in Iowa. We need to be attracting medical professionals, not driving them away with threats. Calibria. My body, my choice. Vote no on House File 2332. Sandy. I oppose House File 2332. You are giving more rights to a fetus than you are giving women. You are essentially stripping women of the right to birth control. What if a woman has a miscarriage? Is she going to have to prove it was an act of nature? Or is she going to be charged with murder? Do not pass this bill. Greg, vote opposed to House File 2332. Larissa, opposed. Lifelong Iowan checking in to say, like most Iowans, I want abortion rights expanded, not removed. This bill is not ethical, constitutional, or medically sound. It would take all bodily autonomy away from pregnant people. Doctors will flee the state to go live and practice medicine in states that haven't made it criminal to do so, which will further restrict medical access for all Iowans. Seeing as the majority of Iowans support abortion access, why don't you represent the actual people of Iowa for once instead of the Heritage Foundation and kill this bill? This bill never should have been introduced in the first place. Vote no. Natalie, oppose House File 2332. Stop trying to legislate my uterus. Do your job and pass bills that actually help Iowans in a tangible way. Michael, please oppose this bill. While I would advise any woman not to terminate her pregnancy, I also recognize that she should have the right to choose, especially in the early stages of pregnancy. The duality of man. Jody, women's health care should be between them and their physician. The government should not be involved. God gives free choice. You are overstepping God on this issue. Write that up. That's if you have God on your side and only on your side, and your side is also like a political party, and your party keeps losing and seeing dumb, you're making a mockery of God. Beth, vote no. This bill invades health privacy. It criminalizes providers. It says a zygote or a fetus has more rights than its mother. When the other bills and laws you're promoting don't protect it after it's born, who will be responsible for it? The government has no business getting all up in a woman's personal choice. I thought that's what Republicans believed uh, in less legislation. Vote no. Sarah, I oppose this bill. Women's health care shouldn't change from state to state. Interesting. If men's health care remains the same, so should a woman's. That was one. Two, pro choice is just that, a choice. And pro life bills take our choices away. Three, pro life isn't family. How many husbands, children, parents, siblings, friends have lost a woman due to pro life policies? Do our earthside families mean nothing compared to a fetus? Do we women mean nothing compared to a fetus? 4. Politicians need to stay out of healthcare. You're killing women. You're destroying families. So unless you're my doctor, stay out of my personal business, my medical autonomy. Shame. Shame on all of you forcing us to give birth against our wills. We're dying. We're dying, and our politicians are the ones killing us. Sarah, you did that. Samra, please vote no on this bill in regard to abortion. Please pay attention to what your constituents want. Women's health care is between her and her doctor. Alyssa, I work for a large national health system. I literally spend my day talking to nurses and have for almost 20 years. The number who have already left the field because of how our health system is broken is painful. Good caring humans only wanted to be there for their patients. Now you want to add roadblocks and fear? Please listen to the clinicians about women's healthcare and how abortion is not as black and white an issue as politics make it. I am 100% against this. Patty, stop the hatred towards women. Reproductive rights are healthcare. Nobody's business but a woman and her loved ones and her medical professionals. Opposed. Jody, government should not have any rights pertaining to my body, pregnant or not. What you're doing is wrong. It's inhumane. Basically, you're telling a woman if she gets raped, she is stuck with that baby, whether she wants it or not. You're telling a woman that is carrying a child that will not survive due to circumstances beyond her control or the doctor's control that she'll have to carry that baby. Would you do this to your own mother? Julie, oppose this bill. A physician should not have to fear being prosecuted for providing healthcare to a woman. The government needs to stay out of women's healthcare. This will also be another detriment to our shortage of doctors, especially OBGYNs. This must be voted down. Ryan, last year I got dragged out of the Senate gallery and arrested for asking who the GOP would target next. The bill I opposed last year didn't affect me. This one doesn't either. But that is irrelevant. What a woman does if she's pregnant is nobody's business but hers, right? And her God, right? Her and her life, right? Like whoever she chooses to involve in that. Spiritually, the same thing. These harmful bills must be opposed by any means necessary. My comment, ooh, my comment is not for the legislators who will be voting on this bill, as I don't debate those that John Brown wouldn't. Hmm. If you are someone who will be targeted by this harmful legislation, as someone who could be forced to carry a pregnancy against their will, or a healthcare provider staring down the barrel of a potential life sentence, my recommendation is to get a gun and learn how to use it. That goes for anyone else in the crosshairs of this Republican legislature. I mean, they made it so freaking easy to get. That's opposed as well. Michelle, vote no on this bill. It is ridiculous that in 2026 in Iowa, a woman in Iowa can die of ectopic pregnancy because you blanket banned abortion. Stay out of our healthcare. Jane, abortion is healthcare that is life saving in many cases and life changing in others. It is not a procedure that any person takes lightly. It is a medical procedure and therefore it should be regulated only by a pregnant person and their doctor. Reproductive health care should not be politicized. It is not criminal, it is medical. The life of a pregnant person should not be policed, judged, or mandated by legislators who have no medical knowledge. And I would say, for ones that have no relevant medical knowledge, like a dentist, I'm sure is up there somewhere, right? Casey, I am opposed to this bill, which would criminalize healthcare providers for providing the life saving care that they are trained to provide. This does nothing to address our OBGYN shortage and nothing to improve the health of Iowans. It will contribute to an ever growing healthcare shortage. Diane, women will die if this egregious bill is passed. That includes pro life women, as Iowa expands their OBGYN healthcare deserts. How do the non physicians intend to have non viable or ectopic pregnancies treated? Or do they just view it as the loss of an incubator? Safe abortion is healthcare. Vote no. Edith, I am opposed to this bill. It denies critical healthcare access to women and puts their lives at mental and physical danger. In addition, we will be able to attract even fewer OBGYN doctors to our state, and we will be even less attractive to young families to move here. Yeah. And oppose this bill. This bill puts women's lives at risk. Countless examples of women losing their lives or becoming infertile due to losing access to life saving medical procedures such as abortion have occurred in states with restrictions like these. It's already difficult to access OBGYN services in Iowa. Passing this bill will make it so much worse. Please oppose this bill. Mary, I strongly oppose House File 2332. The current ban is already horrible. It does not need to be made worse. Please vote against this bill. Thank you. Kathy, This bill will take Iowa way back in time and needs to be stopped immediately. The statement that pregnancy begins at conception is the opinion of certain particular religions, and no law based on this opinion should go forward, as this is not the opinion of most people. Any decision on pregnancy should be between the woman and her doctor. This bill, if passed, will encourage even more young people to leave Iowa and create more shortages, yeah, of OBGYNs in the state. Iowa already has a shortage of doctors, leaving women having more trouble to get appointments, especially in rural Iowa. This bill is a violation of women's rights and will lead to more doctors leaving the state at a time when even Congress is trying to create incentives for doctors to stay. So why have a bill that does just the opposite of that? Abortion is healthcare, and many factors play into that decision. Please kill this bill, as this is not what the majority of people want. Deborah, vote opposed to House File 2332. The majority of Iowans do not want this. Why is this not a referendum that Iowans can vote on? That's a great point. This should not be decided for us. Yeah, where the hell are the referendums? Making a note. Where are the referendums? Patty, vote opposed to House File 2332. Mary, birth control, abortion, and women's health care should be between a woman and her physicians. Each decision about pregnancy and fertility is a personal one, and the state and federal government has no right interfering. In addition, religious groups have no right forcing legislation that violates another person's religious beliefs. Charles, no lawmakers without medical training and knowledge should make legislations about any woman's health. Every woman should have the right to her own body and the right to choose whatever is in her best interest and her wishes. Patty, I oppose the bill for many reasons. The issue of highest concern with this bill is the unknown consequences of forcing a woman and her primary care provider slash doctor to carry out the pregnancy. The right to life does not take into account circumstances that another human could possibly know. The only human who can know their capacity for going through the 9-month pregnancy is the pregnant human, right? Please try to imagine some instances in which a person who celebrates being pregnant and giving birth, whose life is endangered, ability is altered, whatever. There isn't always a safety net or a guarantee. This decision should not be made by others. Valerie, I oppose this bill. Abortion is a healthcare decision that should be made by a woman in consultation with her doctor. H. The 6-week ban on abortion is already too restrictive, interfering with the doctor-patient joint decision making. I oppose House File 2332 and request all lawmakers to vote against this bill. Politicians have no business playing doctor. Criminalizing a medical procedure is not how we grow trust with Iowans or grow our state. Miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies can be lethal without fast and immediate action to preserve fertility and prevent maternal death. Furthermore, this medical intervention should not be based on the state's boundary. Women in Iowa already have less rights than in neighboring states. Man, my dog's stomping around loud as hell. Scared me. It's 1:18 in the morning, and I'm almost halfway through. Excuse me, H. Women in Iowa already have less rights than in neighboring states. The argument of pro-life ceases to be valid when proponents restricting abortion access are curiously the same lawmakers, ding 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 ding, who restrict funding to economically vulnerable Iowans needing food and childcare assistance. Carolyn, opposed to this law. A woman should have the right to choose whether to have a baby or not. Mackenzie, you do realize that if you want women to have more babies, you should make it actually safe to do so? The language in this is so ridiculously vague and doesn't even give clear information on what would happen if a pregnant woman is miscarrying and has to abort the fetus to save her own life. If you pass this, there will be blood on your hands. Jill, the movement to criminalize abortion in Iowa is not about protecting life, it is about controlling it. When lawmakers threaten doctors with prison and women with prosecution, they are not creating a culture of care. They are creating a climate of fear. Fear in exam rooms, fear in emergency rooms, fear in the hearts of people facing some of the most complex, painful decisions of their lives. Pregnancy is not abstract. It is physical, emotional, and sometimes dangerous. Complications happen. Fatal fetal diagnoses happen. Miscarriages happen. When abortion is criminalized, doctors hesitate. Hospitals consult lawyers instead of acting quickly. And patients suffer sometimes irreversibly. Criminalization does not eliminate abortion, it only eliminates safe abortion. History shows this clearly. Where abortion is banned, it does not disappear, it goes underground. Those with money travel, those without resources risk their health. Jill, that counts like as 10. Nancy, please do not outlaw abortion. Abortion is never a black and white situation. There are too many unpredictable things that can happen, such as occasions when the fetus cannot be saved and the mother's life becomes endangered. A woman's doctor should be her healthcare advisor, not a state law. Shelby, oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare and should not be criminalized. Teresa or Teresa, unequivocally opposed. This bill is another Heritage Foundation a pipe dream. It is not the will of the majority of our citizens. I read where this legislature is desperately trying to thread the needle to allow for abortion care when medically required. Women have lives, families. Zygotes and fetuses are not children, no matter how many times you try to make it so. A living person has full agency over their own body and cannot be forced or coerced into giving up part of their body for another, even if for part of a year, as pregnancies fundamentally change women's bodies forever. And so the bill purposely calls for no charges to the pregnant person, but effectively murder charges for anyone that helps or facilitates that desired termination. This is appalling and effectively takes away women's ability to access the reproductive care they need and want. There is nothing conditional about a woman's 14th Amendment rights to privacy. A zygote slash fetus is not a living, breathing child. A huge no. Sarah, please vote no on House File 2316. This is 2332. Women deserve autonomy to make their own healthcare decisions. The government and private organizations used to draft legislation need to stay out of this lane. Most Iowans are against this. Represent your constituents and vote no. Lucita, women's health care does not belong in politics, and if it's a crime to have an abortion, it's a crime for a male to get a woman pregnant when that is not what she wanted. It already is. Well, not the pregnancy part. Enforcement, right? I pray that God will never let some women whose pregnancy has gone wrong, the baby slowly dying inside her, but no healthcare provider will help her because the baby still has a heartbeat, and now it's making the mother slowly die a painful death because of your laws. Alana, please oppose this bill. Abortion care is health care and it should not be criminalized. The penalties are ridiculously harsh. I'm afraid we will lose even more caregivers and healthcare providers in this state. Women should not have to live in fear, and a fetus should not have more rights than a woman. This is heartbreaking, and I'm astounded by Iowa's lawmakers. Alicia, this bill is absolutely abhorrent and should be rejected. Further criminalizing aspects of reproductive health care will only make the state's brain drain problem and women healthcare deserts worse. There are already there are also already documented instances in other states where women have been left to suffer until they are close to dying because doctors are afraid to give them a medically necessary abortion, forcing parents who have a much wanted pregnancy to give birth to a child with a known fatal genetic defect, or victims of rape to have the child of their rapist, are also things that this bill would force. This bill is also at odds with the fact that 10 to 20% of pregnancies naturally end in a miscarriage. It isn't the place of this legislature to force decisions on private aspects of healthcare, and this state already continues to fail the children who live here. Anyone who supports this bill should be ashamed. Elizabeth, this is a dangerous bill. Women have already been dying in states with bans like this. Republican women have said that they are not getting life saving care they need in states with bans like this. This is not going to help anyone. Let doctors do their jobs and keep religion out of the situation. Barb, I am urging you to vote no on House File 2332. Criminalization, I'm so sleepy. Excuse me. Criminalization of women's healthcare risks women's lives and will worsen the shortage of OBGYN doctors and expand healthcare deserts. An individual's health care choices should be between them and their doctors and individualized to meet their specific needs. Michael, I have 2 daughters and 3 granddaughters. You keep hacking away at their reproductive rights, which is wrong. Vote no on this bill, House File 2332. Hello, hello. Okay. Last night I started reading that list. Now it's a continuation. Um, I went to bed, woke up after the sun rose, so did not re-break my fast after sunset, or no, I wasn't fasting overnight. Fell asleep, did not wake up before sunrise. Um, so I got ready for my day normally and did my work stuff, did my home stuff cycle one, like, laundry and dogs and all that stuff, like the first round of things. And instead of doing something else now, like eating lunch, or which is fine, it's really not that big of a deal for like intermittent fasting. I can hear my dog complaining. 1 second. So now I will continue reading this, and we're on it, right? We're reading. Okay. Christian, oppose this bill. You wouldn't ask an electrician to manage a country, just like how you don't ask a governor to fix the wiring in your house. So why the hell are we asking politicians to decide what procedures we're allowed to have? Keep your religious beliefs out of my body, which I agree with, right? Because it's like if you do it to them, you could do it to me, which is how you should approach everything. Diane, House File 2332 does the following: criminalize women's reproductive health care, risk women's lives while potentially worsening Iowa's shortage of OBGYN doctors, along with expanding Iowa's many healthcare deserts. 64% of Iowans overwhelmingly support a woman's safe access to safe and legal abortion. This is not the template. Yeah, I don't think it's a template. A woman's individual healthcare choices and decisions should be between the woman and her doctors and then individualized to meet her specific needs. It sounds like a template. Like I've already read this one before, right? There's no issue with that. I'm just trying to do no repeats for the sake of time, and the sake of time is really not the emphasis. The emphasis is the uniqueness and different perspectives and intersecting of each statement. But I will acknowledge, the multiple ones, because it's like, damn, that is organizing, right? Um, we don't all have the time that I'm dedicating right now to do this, right? I could have a second job, I could be taking care of if my son were here. I'd be taking care of him, right? Maybe I'd be doing this with him, or I wouldn't be doing this at all, or I could still do this without him, right? We don't know, and I can't speak to others who are like who find the time to still send something to their representative, even if it is a template. Legislators should not be legislating a women's health care. A woman's health care. Women know becoming pregnant comes with many health risks. Therefore, when a woman decides to have a baby, this is a decision she has not taken lightly. Women need to be supported during pregnancy and not worry about legislation which can negatively impact their reproductive care. Do not support House File 2332. Dana, abortion is healthcare and not the business of any legislator. Even doctors are telling you this is dumb. Stop taking money from people that are trying to get you to do their, with a capital T, pro-life bidding. So true, Dana. One of the top Dana responses of the day uh, in Iowa. Becca, I oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare and it should not be criminalized. And I also have not been doing the tallies again. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I'll do a total tally count at the end. Elizabeth, these laws do not prevent abortions. They prevent safe abortions. These bills are classist as at their core. Jason, please do not pass this bill. Abortion is healthcare, and the U.S. does not care about the health of the parent or the child after birth. Yeah, for any dads in the crowd, when have you ever seen a healthcare system ask about postpartum depression in fathers, right? It's like if these guys were so on top of it, and I'll show who are these representatives later, they would have this forward thinking. They don't. All they do is copy paste what's been coming down the gutter, right? If it was good on its merits, you wouldn't see these comments. If it was good on its own genuinely, you wouldn't see these comments. And my concern is people aren't hearing and seeing and visualizing and perceiving and empathizing with the amount of potential that's here. There's a lot of potential here. Iran, I strongly oppose House File 2332. This bill is an extreme and dangerous government overreach that criminalizes abortion at conception and escalates penalties up to life without parole. It threatens doctors with prosecution, invites fear and confusion in medical emergencies, and prioritizes political ideology over evidence-based care. By redefining feticide template and removing key elements of consent and trimester limits, it opens the door to sweeping criminal liability with devastating consequences for providers and families. This legislation will not make Iowa safer. It will drive physicians out of our state, delay critical care, and endanger women facing pregnancy complications. Decisions. If I read this last time already, whoops, I have not. The sleeping lower and the fasting longer is what it is. And I'm also, it's Friday. I'm excited to see my wife soon. I'm excited to break my fast. I'm excited that I'm home with these little dogs over here. Like, it is a privilege to be able to do this. To live the life we live is honestly a privilege. Decisions about pregnancy belong to patients and their doctors, not politicians. Iowa families deserve compassionate, medically sound policy, not punitive laws that strip away autonomy and put lives at risk. Reject House File 2332. If I were actually what if I did this in Spanish? Ugh, it's just so much effort. I'll think about it. Cameron, this bill is abhorrent and would be unimaginably terrible for the women of the state of Iowa. Abortion is health care, and women will die if they are unable to receive it. Children will lose their mothers, and mothers will lose their daughters. This cannot be passed here if you wish for our state to retain any guise of freedom. When you remove women's freedoms, you announce to the world that freedom, to you, is conditional. That freedom is easier said than done. And that you are too weak to, that freedom is easier said than done. And that you are too weak to uphold it. Women's freedoms and women's rights are more important to protect than ever. Do your job. Protect your constituents. Brienne, vote opposed to House File 2332. Christy, House File 2332, oppose. Do not push your religious views on me or others. Women need to be able to talk with their doctors about all possible options. Leave your hands out of women's reproductive rights. Doreen, vote opposed on House File 2332. Reproductive rights are human rights. Paul, I think you say what org you're with, and he said disorganized. All women's rights are human rights. One has a fundamental right to their own body. Moira, vote to oppose this bill. Christo-fascist religious beliefs have no place in our legislature. This bill does nothing but hurt women and reduce their access to safe health care. Yeah, Christian men are like somewhere in between a religious service that separates men and women and the gay tech mafia in Silicon Valley. It's like somewhere in that level of no women allowed, only guys here, like over 0% and maybe under 100% gay, and a sense of terrible ideas and money scavenging. Like I could talk at length about that part. Like all, and there was what, like 3 women on this bill. The thing about religious beliefs is what church should they go to that's preaching this stuff. It's like, oh yeah, dog, these consequences they're worth it. I love the consequences. I approve it. A loving God does that. A money God. Rebecca, I oppose this bill. Abortion is health care. Keep the government out of our bedrooms, our medical care, and maybe focus on cleaning up Iowa's water supply. Casey, 100% oppose. Abortion is health care. Women can make their own choices about what to do with their bodies. Do you really want to push people to spend time/money in another state? You're right, Casey, because I've been saying this too at the Capitol. It's like immigration, migration. We've been talking about it. Like it's been the big thing of the Trump administration. Like I need to persecute Catholics through immigration. I need to harass women and children, not just through the Epstein stuff, but through another Stephen Miller method. It's like, okay, fine. Then as an American, I can and have moved to a lot of different states, and there's 50 of them, 50 plus territories. I don't have to be here. If you left Iowa, all of your social justice issues become easier. The cancer water alone is not a problem anymore. Big middle fingers to you at the Capitol if I've already told you this. They can just move. I'll move. And then they're like, fine, move. It's like, but I want. Oh my gosh, I wasn't even recording. I don't know where I left off in terms of my train of thought about living somewhere, not having to live here, immigration, migration, competing with 50 states. I have said this at the Capitol too. If I've told you this at the Capitol in some subcommittee or file thing, I'm like, hey, 50 states, people have to be here. They can move to a different state, and like all of a sudden their social activism load is a lot lighter because, you know, no more cancer water, one less thing for free just because you moved away. These people have no pride here. These people have no pride in their actual land. They have pride in like their history, and it's like, all right, dog, did your family create plumbing? Roadways? They know. It's like, come on, man. Global innovations of people across the world in literally the foundations of what is math, of what is science, of what is art. America's not that old, doesn't have it yet. Like, I know what it does have. A bunch of grifters. Not like who are writing these terrible policies. Who don't hang out with women, who don't live near enough women. Not enough women who would have sex with them, most likely. Creates a lot of dudes who end up seeing this and being like, I love my daddy's politics. Okay. Healthcare decisions are deeply personal and should be made between the patient and their provider, not politicians. This bill would put women at risk, create fear for families, and place medical professionals in impossible situations. Iowa families deserve policies that respect individual freedom, protect access to medical care, and trust people to make decisions about their own bodies. I urge you to reject House File 2332. Page opposed House File 2332. Laura vote opposed on House File 2332. Reproductive rights are human rights. Listen to what the majority of Iowans are saying, and please stop taking our rights away from us. Susan, more women will die under this bill. If you care about the women of Iowa, you will vote against this bill. Anyone who supports it will face their voters. The majority of Iowans favor a woman's right to choose. Karen, this is between a woman and her doctor. The government should not be involved. Brooke, oppose this bill. Women should have agency for their own choice that is between them and their doctor. Abortion is part of healthcare. And again, why am I reading this? Is because they canceled it. Come back to Brooke. They canceled it. Right? They canceled the meeting because they wouldn't have the votes. They'll keep ramming this again and again until y'all stop commenting. This is scary. The online comments, the Facebook. If this was a Facebook, if they had to be on Facebook, I thought Facebook, right? If they had to be on Facebook and, all post as if and be friends, have befriended every one of their constituents and then tag all their constituents when they post something like this. And then you could see which of their other, representatives also updated their Facebook status with this House File 2332 and tagged their constituents as, highlight to followers. And you'd be like, get this guy. Get that guy. And that's what you did. That's what you're getting him here. You're getting them here. Y'all were getting them. And that's why like, oh shoot. And that's why they cancel a bunch of them. When y'all have the power. They're scared of your Facebook comments on these things. Imagine when you show up. They're scared, like, push your churches and schools and businesses. Otherwise, who cares? Otherwise, don't complain about it. Right? The complaining. Like, do something. These people did something. By themselves, a lot of no's, a lot of nothings. No, I love the voice. Keep doing it. But it's because they did it together. Okay. Deidre, I vehemently oppose this bill. This is a war on women and healthcare providers. Abortion is healthcare. These archaic bills and laws are already having a devastating effect on the doctor-patient relationship and on the ability of women to get the healthcare they need, sometimes with deadly results. In addition, criminalizing doctors doing their moral and ethical jobs will further gut the number of OBGYN physicians who are willing to work in this state. It's already a crisis, and your ridiculous actions are uncalled for and devastating. For the lives of the women in your lives, vote no. And for that reason, a lot of them were like, yeah, I'll vote yes. And it's like, oops, all incel. Lisa or Lisa. Oppose. This kills Iowa, as it kills the life and well-being of our families, healthcare system, and moral integrity. Marsha. Women need to have the right to make decisions regarding their bodies. I do not want this bill to pass. You are not doctors. Please don't think you are. Cindy. Maternal death rate has increased over 50% in states that have banned abortion. Maternal mortality rate has decreased by 20% in states that have abortions that that abortions have remained accessible. Sorry, I was looking for a charger. This is not just about the fetus. Jen strongly opposes abortion as healthcare. Christina, abortion as healthcare. Women have body autonomy, same as men. Doctors do not support this proposed bill. Iowans do not support this bill. Keep lawmakers out of doctors' offices and out of women's bodies. The only ones making healthcare decisions about the excuse me, I don't know where the about came from. The only one making healthcare decisions should be the woman and her doctors. This proposed bill will hurt and kill Iowan women. Vote no. Holly, stop trying to go back into time and control people/women. You have no clue, so you should have no say. Ashley, please oppose this bill. Women will die from not being able to get the care they need. Amy, please oppose House File 2332. Iowa already has difficulty attracting and retaining qualified medical professionals. Maternal health care sometimes involves procedures like abortion. Bills like these are ridiculous and endanger the lives of women and all other people as well, since ultimately, OBGYNs will not want to come to Iowa to be trained or to stay to practice. There is also a correlation with lack of abortion access to infant mortality. Laws like this bill are also connected to negative health outcomes for mothers of color. And they have a link. All of these are connected. Stop the culture war insanity and let people make their own medical decisions with their doctors in private. Okay, let me open up Notepad real quick to copy this link to make sure I'm not, for some reason, copying something else. Let's JHU-EDU. Oh, there you go. I don't have all the domains memorized. Whoa, just because I work in IT. JHU. Two studies provide broadest evidence to date of unequal impacts of abortion bans. JHU, two new studies, unequal impact abortion bans. Wait, that's more than enough. Your link might not work as you expected to, Amy. Researchers, two new studies, Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Public Health, two new studies provide broadest evidence to date of unequal impact. Researchers estimate 22,180 more live births and 478 more infant deaths than expected across 14 states, including Texas, that banned abortion. I've seen this stuff before. I always use it as like a leverage point. Where's the... Yeah, that... These are different studies, actually. This is not the time for this one. Or this one fully. That number I said earlier, the rest of the U.S. didn't experience that increase. There was also evidence to suggest that the increase in infant mortality was partly driven by an increase in congenital birth defects. Why was that significant? And AG, is that like the Attorney General? No. That'd be crazy. Before the abortion ban was in place, if a fetal anomaly was detected in the anatomy scan, then that couple had the option to terminate the pregnancy. With the ban in place, the option to terminate is off the table. As a consequence, we think we're seeing people carrying essentially doomed pregnancies to term, and they're delivering babies with severe defects that are incompatible with life, resulting in infant deaths. How dare you do that to people? How dare you do that to people? To make one person go through that, to be responsible, even in part, of making a family. And the family is one person. All you need for family is one person who loves themselves. Because you have that person has a child and you already have a family, and that child moved into a family. And any size family, whether it's one person, right? How many there's a zero number or a non-zero number of, widowed moms, or sorry, widowed wives who still got pregnant before the husband's death, or deportation or detention, giving birth with no other family or friends or community, and fully loving that child, and then having to suffer this. Found a charger. Can you even see the top of my head? I don't even know what we're looking at. Okay. Man, that sucked. I've already seen that before. But the idea of this being on some recording I'm making for some. I just went to my son's grave earlier today. It took me longer to find because of the snow. Like driving around. But every road was clear to drive on. I will I will call. Making a note on a different screen. Different screen. Fuck, man. Excuse me. Call a cemetery and thank them for clearing roads. And then they'll be like, well, it's actually the Des Moines service. And I'll be like, okay, well, thank you. These people are nasty. People who write this stuff are nasty. Alyssa, first of all, an embryo is not a person any more than a sperm cell is a person. Secondly, the government has no place making decisions about women's bodies and families. These are personal, private health matters between women, their families, and their doctors. It is absolutely absurd that they are trying to take away these basic rights for women. Look at the state of childcare in Iowa. You want to force women to have babies and provide zero resources for them to care for those children? The absolute audacity of this is beyond words. And that's so true. When was the last time these people had to apply for a new fucking job while they're trying to grow a family and pay for a current mortgage? These people are clueless. A lot of your leaders are clueless. Like, no clue. Nothing. Thank you, Alyssa, because they need this stuff. Cheryl, I strongly oppose this bill. The government has no place in these situations. I know it's Jean, but Jean is also. But it could be Jean. I was going to say Jean. Leave the woman and her doctor out of government. Why are you in their space? You wouldn't like it if someone told your wife what to do. That's so true, Jean, and that's so true, Jean. A lot of them, you know, hate their wives and could otherwise never get married and are closeted gay. It's just this Venn diagram of like us and incels have a lot going on. Big club. David, politicians don't belong in my office. He got the little MD after his name, their name. Politicians don't belong in my office, my clinic, or my hospital. Medical decisions are between a doctor and their patients. Doctors, this seems like he's opposed. Doctors practice under social and medical standards. They shouldn't have to practice under legislated standards. Yeah, these people couldn't read the, what's it called? ICD 9 DSM? ICD 10? Whatever the insurance thing is now. They can't read that. They don't understand that. You take any nurse and like be like, just kidding. A politician will see you today. A Republican will see you today. Can you make sure you ask all the questions? Unless they've been already trained by medical professionals and therefore are now a medical professional, they wouldn't know what to do. And here they are pretending that they know what to do. Michael, a disgusting infringement upon women's medical rights. Absolutely oppose this. Layla, this bill will risk the lives of women and children, not protect them. Vote no on HF 2332. Julia, since none of you are OBGYNs or maternal fetal medicine specialists, you do not have the knowledge to push for this. There are too many complexities, and this absolutely should be a no vote. No woman should have to fear for her life or put the life of a fetus over her own. This bill will cause complexities in navigation for medical treatment, as has already been proven in other states. Vote no. Cynthia, this bill puts women's lives at risk. As a young woman, I suffered a miscarriage. The doctor performed a D&C to ensure that my reproductive health did not suffer. This procedure, here is what I've been telling people in person. Cynthia is telling it with her story. Let me start from the beginning. This bill puts women's lives at risk. As a young woman, I suffered a miscarriage. The doctor performed a D&C to ensure that my reproductive health did not suffer. This procedure is considered an abortion, even though I did not have a viable fetus. This is not an unusual instance. My mother and sister also miscarried. If not for our doctors being unafraid, to give us important health-saving treatment, I may not have even been born, let alone have two healthy children. Please let doctors, am I pulling this cable? Excuse me, I'm so sorry, Cynthia. Please let doctors give their patients life-saving and reproductive health-saving treatments without worry of repercussions. Please vote no to House File 2332. D. Abortion is health care. A woman's body is her own. Margot, vote against House File 2332. Stop taking freedoms away from women and their healthcare providers. Let me see. Can you see my dogs? You can see his upside down feet. And she's over there. She's right there. A little pile of black fur. Margot, I already read yours. Vote against HF233. Yeah. Bridget, or Brigitte, oppose this ultra-restrictive bill and stop harming women. This decision is between a woman and her doctor. This bill is anti-life. If we do not value the life of a woman, her health, and her choices, we are definitely not pro-life. Myrna, I know Myrna, but Myra, and it's like the N changes so much in the pronunciation potentially. Myrna, maybe just Myrna. I am opposed to this bill. Government has no right making decisions about women's bodies, specifically abortion. Sandy, Citizen engagement. There was an organization called Citizen Engagement. Citizen Engagement declares in favor of House File 2332. Please move the bill. Okay. Citizen engagement. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, just like a generic whatever. What is it like? If you're not standing out on the internet, it's like, who are you? Lobbyist? Oh, maybe. Wait. Doesn't seem like. Okay, okay. I am curious. I'm quite curious. Lobbyist declarations by last name. Sandy, you're not even on here. It don't count, Sandy. We'll go through these later, actually. Interesting. A lot of against. Lots of fours. Look at the money. But money is also like repeat names. Like, dang, dog, doing two jobs. Lots of time. Oh, oh, female names. Wow, they do exist. You'll also see that for politicians. Let's keep it going. I might leave this up. Okay, this is detracting me. I'm reading. Y'all can look at the right half. But that's official, y'all. They're coming in close. Oh, man. Again, this is like my second recording ever. They're coming in. Okay. Sorry. I'm quite hungry. I'm pretty hungry. Sunsets in like 2-ish hours. It's fine. I can take a break from this too and reflect and pray about it. Do some work, look at upside down dog feet and keep my mind focused on this. Luke, I tell the subcommittee to oppose this, but you've already made up your minds. Iowans will remember how you vote on this bill. You've already motivated me with your actions this session to support opposing candidates in any way I can. It's tragic that the Iowa legislature has let a minority ideology trump science and good sense. One of the correct uses of the word trump, because otherwise it's associated with being a loser. I cannot believe, I am a father with two daughters, and I am recommending that they both move elsewhere when they graduate high school. Why settle down in a state that's so unfriendly to women's health choices that it could jeopardize their lives? You're right, Luke. And I have gone to the Senate committee or to the House committees and subcommittees and study sessions, and there's no one else at the Capitol like me saying, y'all are pushing all the future, like the dating pool. I'm good. I'm married. I'm happy. But it's like, all right, well, who wants to live here? No minority. No marginalized group. Y'all are marginalizing people. This is what it means for marginalization. They're putting the rights of women to the margins. So even though women can be a statistical majority, no one's saying, hey, men can't have sex if they've had more than 2 beers. That would be a fucking policy. That would be a fucking policy, and everyone would hate it. When it's like, yeah, that's not how we're strictly defining consent. It can't just be that arbitrary line, and that applies. Sometimes it could apply, but really the issue is the rapist. Right? Really, the issue is the people who are claiming the pro-life label and doing nothing with it except circle jerking a bunch of other men and trying to raise money. My wife is on her way home. I'm going to take a break from this at some point very soon and enjoy that. Vicky, no on this bill. Iowa is daily taking us backward in time. Forcing women to give birth is not good health care. Pregnancy and giving birth are not always simple situations. You profess that a fetus is precious in the womb, yet you take away health care, food, shelter, and education after birth. The hypocrisy is stunning. She's right. They're right. Brenda, the legislature needs to quit practicing medicine without a license. I worked as a labor and delivery nurse for 25 years. Abortion is sometimes necessary medical care. And then should be a period, maybe. Abortion, D&C, managing miscarriages are best left to physicians and their patients with no fear of repercussions from our Christian Taliban legislature. So true, Brenda. Except that you don't need the Taliban involvement here. This is just conservative Christians, white supremacists. I'm hungry. Lacey, please oppose this bill. Abortions are a part of health care. These decisions need to be made between women and their physicians. Every woman should have the right over her own body. Government shouldn't have a place or a say in what people do with their bodies or in decisions about healthcare. If you don't want a stranger making healthcare decisions for you, don't make them for others. Oppose this bill. Fennec, oppose this bill. To ban abortion is a death sentence to too many lives for the sake of potential cell clusters. I'm snapping at that one, Fennec. That's a correct reimagining that perspective. That's true. To ban abortion is a death sentence to too many lives for the sake of potential cell clusters. When abortions are not available, more pregnant people die. True. For all the so-called worry about women's safety, let's talk about women who are at higher risk of being killed. Let's talk about how women are at higher risk of being killed by their abusive partners when pregnant, especially if the abuser is worried about money or infidelities being caught. Let's talk about how pregnancy and birth can be permanently traumatic to the body. These guys wouldn't know that, Fennec. These guys don't know that. When was the last time they were in a room when a woman gave birth? Which of these men would be trusted over the shittiest midwife and the shittiest doula? No offense to, midwives and doulas, by default, I'm saying the shittiest one of you is greater than these guys in any room where a woman's giving birth, right? Except the evil ones and the yeah. Let's talk about how pregnancy. Let's talk about how pregnancy and birth can be permanently traumatic to the body, and how the worsening access to healthcare means more pregnancies will go underobserved, even if high risk. These fuckers don't care. These men don't care, and these sicko women are just sickos and also don't care for some reason. I don't know. To pass this bill is to say the lives capable of pregnancy are worth less than potential lives that aren't being offered any assurance of care in this world. Having a uterus should not be a death sentence. And that's why women get the bisalps, the BISALPS, right? The removal of the fallopian tubes. Yeah. Bilateral salpingectomy. Yeah. Then they're gonna ban that. They're gonna be like, no, you need to have them available for me. And no, it's actually, when you ride the bus, you have to be, allowing me to grope you. That's what these people. I mean, if you let them, if you could guarantee no comments on that bill, one of them would have proposed it, and it's not. It's be more than one. Women's rights. I mean, these other things. I know this House File 2332 is about abortion and healthcare rights and access and accessibility and all these things. Where are the other comments about all the things that make up being pregnant besides that? People have written books. I can't believe these people sometimes. Sheila, I oppose this bill. Women's bodies and health care are best addressed by a woman and her doctor, not some who believe power gives them the right to force a woman into their wants and beliefs. Here's a policy change. You can put this to office if your phone is open access. Live stream what your phone is doing all the time and you only have one phone. To these politicians. Do that. Show me you're advocating for women's rights. Show me you're not a fucking pervert sicko who's just like copy pasting what someone else, the bar is very low, but someone else smarter than you has like copywritten into like grifter legislation. Sheila, I oppose this bill. Women's bodies and healthcare are best addressed by a woman and her doctor, not some who believe power gives them the right to force a world into their wants and beliefs. Sheena, you will not be saving babies, you will be killing women. Josh, I oppose House File 2332 because it overreaches into the private medical decisions of Iowans and creates a dangerous legal environment for healthcare providers. You can hear the tires over the snow. By reclassing feticide as a Class A felony and restrictive elective procedures, this bill threatens the safety of pregnant individuals and will inevitably lead to a chilling effect, where doctors fear providing life-saving care. As a resident of Ames, I believe our community is stronger when families have autonomy over their health and futures. This bill lacks the nuance required for complex medical realities and prioritizes ideology over the well-being of Iowa's citizens. I urge the subcommittee to vote no on House File 2332 and protect the fundamental rights and health of all Iowans. Ames lucked out today. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. When I come back, I may have eaten. Okay, picking up where we left off, we have Zachariah oppose abortion is healthcare. There are any number of reasons. Someone may need to end a pregnancy. You blanket mandating that there isn't a reason is short-sighted. Every administrative hurdle you impart makes those exceptions you claim to allow that much harder to access. Emily, vote against House File 2332. This legislation would do irreparable harm to women and families in Iowa. Doctors will be afraid to care for patients. OBGYNs will not want to practice in our state, which is already experiencing a maternal care crisis. Elijah, vote no on House File 2332. These decisions should be between women and their doctors, not politicians. Mark, I am opposed to this bill and ask you to vote no. The national and state Republicans are doing. I'm going to restart with Mark. I am opposed to this bill and ask you to vote no. The national and state Republicans are doing all they can to weaken Iowa and make it a place people do not want to move to and encourages people here to move away. In this case, the Right to Birth Party, they do not support life after birth with all of their terrible policies, is telling young women and their partners, not to mention their physicians, that Iowa is not a safe place to live. If they want to control their health, they should move to another state. Sahana? Oppose this bill. It is dangerous. Linda? Man, it's been actually a few days since I came back to this between work and all the good things in my life I'm working on, all the stuff that I'm working on. So I can't recall if this is the template. You just don't see the word feticide a lot. Feticide? Oh god. This is a not fun mini project. It is what it is. Linda says, I respectfully urge you to oppose House File 2332 relating to elective abortion and feticide. This proposal represents a sweeping expansion of criminal penalties and state power into deeply personal medical decisions. It redefines elective abortion in broad terms, criminalizes those who perform or assist in such care, and dramatically increases penalties under Iowa's feticide statute, including making certain actions punishable by life imprisonment without parole. These are among the most severe penalties available under Iowa law. House File 2332 removes the long-standing consent protections in the feticide statute, after the second trimester and creates new felony and misdemeanor penalties tied to other offenses if an unborn child is harmed. Although the bill states that pregnant women cannot be prosecuted, it exposes physicians and other licensed professionals to criminal liability and disciplinary action for providing care that may already be legally complex and medically urgent. Catherine summarizes it so well as vote no. Yeah, man. There's just some stuff is just so obvious and controlling the woman, controlling the egg, thinking that the egg is just a thing to be have things done to, that the sperm do everything, right? The sperm doesn't do everything. The egg, it's a mutual thing. The egg releases chemicals, right? It attracts sperm to it. It's a mutual thing. Here is just a bunch of sperm thinking that they're doing everything and they want to control the egg. Teresa or Teresa, I strongly oppose House File 2332 and ask that you vote no. Legislators should not be involved in healthcare decisions for women. Each woman's situation is unique. A woman's healthcare decisions are between her and her doctor. Befea, oppose House File 2332. Women and their doctors should be able to make and complete medical practices without government interference. Bailey O'Brien, decisions about pregnancy and family planning should be between the patient and their doctor, not the government. Randy, oppose. Did I say someone's full name? It's the name that's on here. It's not, maybe not their full name. I'll try to keep just saying the first name. Randy said, oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare. Religion has no place in the creation of our laws. A fetus is not a person. Yeah, that's true. And look, y'all are on the same page. Y'all are together. I bet you're all together for more than several other topics too. Hmm. I'm not gonna go through the lobbyists later, but I will go through the people who pushed up this bill, propped it up. Robin, vote no on House File 2332. This bill will hurt Iowans. This is a gross overstep of governmental powers into personal decisions that need to be made between a person and their healthcare provider. By restricting healthcare, you are not only hurting Iowans from full access to healthcare, you are asking medical practitioners to not best serve their patients. Trust your constituents to make the best decisions for their own lives. Yeah, Republicans don't care for that. Davi or Davy? A woman's body belongs to her. No one in public office has the right to tell her what she can and cannot do with her body. Keep your over-the-top religious crap to yourself. You will be voted out of office over this and the other ridiculous bills that do nothing to make life better for Iowans. Mind your own damn business. Great attitude. Must be more. Let me inject this into every liberal nationalistic Democrat. Catherine. Catherine says, I oppose this bill for so many reasons. As a woman who has had several miscarriages and received appropriate medical care from them, oh my gosh, excuse me, my slight speech impediment and nervousness at reading this really. Let me restart. Catherine, I oppose this bill for so many reasons. As a woman who has had several miscarriages and received appropriate medical care for them from physicians, it is alarming that a woman experiencing the same devastating situation might end up being turned away to suffer or to put her own life in danger because a doctor is afraid of going to jail for providing basic medical care. Abortions are DNCs. DNCs happen when you miscarry, period. Ding 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 ding. If you look it up, what are you going to find? Dilation and curettage. Medical procedure that involves dilating the cervix and using a surgical instrument to remove tissue from the uterus. While it can be used to terminate a pregnancy, it is more commonly performed to diagnose or treat other uterine conditions. The main thing I mean, it's not like women are telling me constantly about their uterine polyps and fibroids, but you know people, unless you're like baby aged, but you know people who've had miscarriages, incomplete pregnancies, right? Something happened and they've had an abortion. Because technically that's what that is. I've never not experienced that. It's always been like, technically this is an abortion. I've always heard that story. When we had a miscarriage, that was technically an abortion to get the our little baby guy who wasn't even a baby guy yet, just a dead fetus. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. Abortions are DNCs, dilations, and curettage. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. DNCs happen when you miscarry, period. Women I know in rural communities cannot get basic obstetric care already because of shortages. And if you create a culture of fear and punishment for OBGYNs doing their jobs, they will leave in alarming numbers. My husband works in the emergency department and often sees pregnant women in emergent situations, miscarrying or facing ectopic pregnancies. These women need their lives saved. They need doctors to be able to do their jobs. They don't need the government lurking around ready to send doctors to jail. Mhm. And really, it's like these guys are lurking around. This is a party of lurkers waiting to take advantage. Emily, under no circumstances should this bill pass. What a clear overreach that strips women of autonomy and makes Iowa look hostile and backward. If you truly care about children, prioritize the safety and well-being of the kids already living in Iowa by adequately funding public education and providing them drinking water that is safe to consume. But they don't know how to do that, and they don't want to do that. Marissa, do not support this bill. Abortion care is health care. We need access for necessary interventions, especially to save the life of a mother, and a pregnant person shouldn't fear being penalized because they needed health care to live. Oppose this bill. Virginia, abortion is health care. This bill is cruel and misunderstands basic science. Allison, I am very opposed to this bill. Stop taking Iowa backwards. Abortion is health care, and politicians have no place in a woman's right to choose to have one. Samantha, I oppose this bill. Stop punishing women who are trying to have families or already have them. Stop criminalizing women who don't want to have families and never received a proper sex education because you banned that too and now give wrong information about it. They say now that it's acceptable in their culture to prey on women and children and young men and then kill them and abuse them. Epstein class. Losers who wish to have been invited to the Epstein party. Wendy, I strongly oppose this draconian bill that will put women's lives at risk and their doctors in jeopardy of life imprisonment. The decision to have an abortion is not one made lightly, and it should be left to the individual to make that decision based on her own personal circumstances. It should not be the prerogative of elected officials to dictate what their constituents can and cannot do with their own bodies. If an individual can be trusted to decide to end medical treatment for serious illness, they can be trusted to make decisions for their own bodily health and autonomy. For a political party that espouses less government, this outrageous intrusion into the personal lives of Iowa citizens is unconscionable. And I like how something in here is like, in my mind, like rung out to like self-defense. It's like, if you trust me to get a gun and use the gun to defend my own life, even not even my life, my property, supposedly property, right? And then I kill someone with it, I can be justified in such a way that I don't get punished for it, right? A woman can't do that, even if she doesn't need a gun. And even if the other person she's going to harm is inside her. And even if she has a good reason, like the thing inside her is going to kill her. If I have a thing outside of me that's not going to kill me, but I'm like, oh no, my car radio, or castle law. 50 states, lots of interpretations, lots of rules. But America as a whole, right? That's like, I wish that's a joke for men. That's a joke for, I wish someone would. I wish a MFer would. And then I'll get my gun. And then I'll use it to end a whole different person's thing, versus a woman and a doctor being like, if you don't do this, right, here are these outcomes, and this is still an option. And then you're like, oh, but it's only acceptable. No. It's not like it's, the rules are so different. Anyone can use a gun to kill anybody if there's good enough reason. No one can do this, and this is only women. Matthew, as an actively voting member of the community, I urge you to oppose House File 2332 for many reasons. 1. Medically necessary abortion has saved women's lives. This legislation will drive childbearing age women out of Iowa to find medical systems that support life-saving care in the event of a medical emergency resulting from pregnancy. The life of a mother has clearly higher value than that of a lethal pregnancy. I mean, yeah, but these people. 2, it will drive out OBGYN doctors from Iowa because they will fear being accused of causing an abortion in Iowa. 3, family planning activities such as abortion have increased the economic output of the workforce by enabling women to participate more fully. Additionally, women are less likely to leave the workforce unexpectedly due to an unplanned pregnancy, leading to higher workforce participation and family financial stability. They're like, yeah, buddy, we want the opposite of all this. They don't care about childbearing age women. They only like child women. You know there are like huge officials killing themselves around the world for being in the Epstein files? These people have no shame. AJ, I oppose this bill. In no way, shape, and or form a fetus that cannot live on its own without a host should not have more rights. So in no way should they have more rights than a woman who can live on their own. Adding on to that, women should not have to live in fear. Brittany, oppose this bill. This is healthcare and not the business of politicians. Women should not be dying from being denied life-saving medical care. They should be free to choose the life that is right for them. Cynthia, I oppose this bill. Janine, the state does not belong in my personal life or any care related to my body. Any woman choosing to have an abortion is entitled to make her own choice. She doesn't need the state bureaucracy imposing their beliefs on her body or choices. Kent, this bill is an infringement on women's rights. I oppose this bill. It should not pass. Jay, I abhor abortion and believe that any person seeking one should be sterilized at the same time to prevent the genetics that allow for infanticide this is crazy. Okay, whoa. I abhor abortion and believe that any person seeking one should be sterilized at the same time to prevent the genetics that allow for infanticide from further infecting the human race. But I also think that as bad as abortion is, government control over our bodies and our medical decisions is even worse. I wholeheartedly oppose this bill. You can't vote twice, so I can't put one in both columns. This is a little bit too wild. What does seeking one? How are we framing mentally visualizing a person seeking one? That so much so that they should be sterilized when it's like, this is also a... I mean, clearly there's some wiggle room because we would sterilize those people in Jay's world, but also the government's worse off. So no, but at the same time, I wonder what he would do to people in the Epstein files. Sounds like a lot of ideas happening. Michael, retired. The government should not be dictating medical care, interfering with the conversations between a doctor and his or her patient, or prohibiting abortion. If you support life, then you should make sure that women have the food and nutrients to sustain themselves and their children. The legislature should concern itself with maternal health, protecting children from communicable diseases. Oh, I thought there'd be more in that sentence. Prohibiting abortions while eliminating vaccines is going to increase the death rate of children. Stop playing games with the health and lives of our women and children. Republicans could be like, every household gets neonatal vitamins. Or no, prenatal vitamins. Nope. Amanda, this bill has no business existing. It violates basic protected statutes. Specifically, it establishes biased enforcement with the bias based on biological sex. On a practical basis, this bill endangers living humans and their well being. Denying health care, namely pregnancy termination, has caused sterility, health crises, and death. This bill will harm and kill Iowans. The faction pushing anti abortion legislation does not seem to consider the death toll brought about by denying necessary health care. Apparently, they consider those Iowans disposable. But when one factors in the teachings of the holy text of the Judeo Christian faiths, abortion is not outlawed. It's not only permissible, it's prescribed by priests in specific circumstances. Numbers 5:18 through 28. Do not pass this bill. Numbers 5. Off of BibleHub.com. Oh, God, jeez. Through 28. If you cheated something, drink the bitter water, have an abortion, and then something. I don't see a lot of thyroid happening nowadays, so I just don't know how strong the Old Testament covenant is necessarily. Because if you believe in Jesus, by the way, Christian or Catholic, you don't really believe in this anymore. Like you kind of do. Let me not go too heavy in that, but it's like, again, look at the new covenant. But this thing, I mean, yeah, I wonder people who subscribe to the, Old Testament, people who are, what's it, beyond, what other faith besides Judaism? I don't know where Islam is on that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I assume there's an intersectional panel of voices that I'm reading through here, but where's the volume with the pulpit? D. If McClintock and Gerhold could read, they would understand that being in their area, I heavily oppose this. Unfortunately, they do not tend to listen to people or pass along those messages, so I'm putting it here. Abortion is healthcare, and you are barking up the wrong tree trying to control women. Janie, do not pass this bill. We already have an OBGYN shortage, and this will make it worse. You already passed an abortion ban. This is not necessary. And that's true. Last year, the Iowa legislature passed a abortion ban after 6 weeks, right? We covered that earlier in a different reading. It's like women don't even know they're pregnant by 6 weeks. You have to be like at or past 4 and be like, I'm not feeling it coming on, question mark, and be like, oh, I have a history of it not coming on, or I'm stressed, or I'm on a new thing or something, right? I feel like I want to pretend like it's common knowledge, but I know it's not, because you have to have women who trust you and talk to you in your life. And you would not believe the amount of women who don't have one. It's so many. Aaron, I'm commenting in full dissent of this proposed legislation. This is a dangerous bill for women and families. Women will go without or be denied care if they or their physician were threatened with charges should something wrong happen in their pregnancy. In addition, OBGYN physician recruitment and retention in Iowa will suffer greatly if this bill were to pass, only worsening women's healthcare access and outcomes for the long term across the state. This bill does not support clinical evidence of women's health, nor does it support health experts and providers. The only thing it does is exert control over women's healthcare decisions in a dangerous and extreme manner. Amanda, what an abhorrent attack on women and their healthcare providers. No wonder everyone is leaving the state. Oppose. Daniel, I feel as a man since women abortions. Wait. I feel as a man since. I feel as a man since women want abortions to stay legal, then men should be legally able to opt out of their role if they choose to. If a woman if a woman wants to keep the baby, the man should be able to say no and walk away. If that can't happen, then abortion should be illegal if both parties don't agree to it. I don't even. If a woman wants to keep the baby, the man should be able to say no and walk away. If that can't happen, then abortion should be illegal if both parties don't agree to it. Got undecided. I'm undecided where that goes. Haley, vote opposed. Abortion is healthcare, and the government has no place in my and my siblings' bodies and healthcare decisions. Bella, or Bella, oppose this bill. This is a private matter between a patient and her doctor. Logan, politicizing bodily autonomy is beyond the pale. There is no small government about this, and to say otherwise is a bald-faced lie. I urge you to oppose this bill. Grace, I strongly oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare, and many women do not make the decision to abort lightly. If this bill passes, and as soon as a woman is pregnant, she better receive child tax breaks, considering the law now sees her clump of cells, which she might not even be aware of yet, as a full child. This will also drive even more doctors out of Iowa, as it should not be on their shoulders to think about legality when doing their best to help a patient. Mariah, oppose this bill. I fully support a person's right to choose how to handle their pregnancy in consultation with their medical provider. Because this bill would severely criminalize those who provide health care, we will have even fewer OBGYNs than we already have. We will not be able to train new OBs if they can't get the experience here. The brain drain will only increase as young women flee to a state that would deny them life-saving care should they need it. I guess flee a state that would deny them life-saving care should they need it. Alright, I'm back after a few days. My wife and I both had colds. And it knocked us both out for a bit. Picking up where we left off, Michael, I strongly believe House File 2332. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. I strongly support House File 2332 and urge the committee to advance it. If we truly believe that every human being is created equal and endowed with the unalienable right to life, then our laws must reflect that conviction. To claim we are pro-life while declining to provide equal protection under the law is not true justice. This bill affirms that life begins at conception and extends legal protection to the most vulnerable members of our society, the unborn. A just and moral state defends those who cannot defend themselves. House File 2332 is a necessary step towards ensuring that Iowa's laws uphold the inherent dignity and worth of every human life at every stage. Justine, abortion is healthcare and is a decision to be made by the pregnant person and their healthcare provider. Healthcare should not be criminalized. Oppose. Rachel, vote no. This decision is between a woman and her physician, not random politicians that think they should be able to dictate what happens to a woman's body and the potential fertilized egg, i.e., not a baby at that point within her, no matter the circumstance. Sorry, I feel like my reading is off because of this cold and or the Tylenol I took. Tina, please oppose House File 2332. I read other comments, and like what Chad G said, the decision of abortion should be left to the pregnant woman. There's already so many children in foster care without homes. Put your efforts towards helping them instead of hurting them. If this passes, say goodbye to doctors, families, and women in Iowa. Don't we want Iowa's population to grow? This is not how we make that happen. Like Chad's daughter, I'm also a young woman. I would like to stay in Iowa. Things like this make it hard to want to. Our healthcare needs to improve, not go backwards. Brooke opposed House File 2332. Sarah, I oppose House File 2332. Healthcare should be between the doctor patient. The state is overstepping. Vote no. Martha, I strongly oppose House File 2332. This bill criminalizes medical care and interferes with deeply personal healthcare decisions that should remain between the patient and their doctor. Expanding criminal penalties around abortion and redefining feticide in this way creates fear, legal uncertainty, and real harm for patients and healthcare providers. Legislation should not substitute ideology for clinical judgment or threaten prison sentences over complex medical decisions. House File 2332 undermines patient autonomy, access to healthcare, and basic human rights. I urge you to vote no. Karis? Charis? Charisse? Oh, maybe Charisse. I strongly oppose this bill for the following reasons. 1. I oppose the intrusion of the government into private healthcare decisions. 2. I believe that this bill will lead to fewer OBGYNs staying in Iowa to practice medicine, further weakening Iowa's maternity and prenatal care, which already rank incredibly low in the U.S. As a future physician, Iowa's ongoing efforts to criminalize abortion care make me much less likely to stay and practice in the state. 3. I believe this bill will lead to suffering, injury, and death for some, and possibly many. Hold on, this is so bright in here. Yeah, this is like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm reading at like full blue screen brightness. 3. I believe this bill will lead to suffering, injury, and death for some, and possibly many pregnant Iowans, and that is in fundamental opposition to my values as a human and a future physician. Rebecca, the decision should whether or not to carry to term should be between a woman and her doctor, who should provide relevant science-based information. I strongly oppose this bill as well as its excessive penalty. Benjamin, oppose this bill. It is a massive overreach and will cause enormous harm in Iowa. Gretchen, please oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare. If this passes, young adults and healthcare providers will continue to leave Iowa. DeMonica, oppose this bill. There are a million reasons to be against this bill. The main reasons regarding health and safety. Banning abortions doesn't make them go away. It makes them go underground. Let's remember that before abortion rights, women were using unsafe and unregulated means to terminate their pregnancies, many of which resulted in their deaths. Keep your politics and religious beliefs out of healthcare and maintain the right for individual choice. I gotta go blow my nose. Hold on 1 second. Oops, I was recording without my microphone on. Brandy, I do not agree with this bill. I'm a sovereign human being that happens to be a woman. My body is mine to decide what happens to it. The soul enters the body at birth. We are eternal beings. We do not die. We have all been lied to for the purpose of control. Women are not your property. We are not your baby-making machines. Don't you dare come after our rights. Abortion has its place as a life-saving medical treatment. The mother's life is important too. This just shows you don't think women are even human. Let me guess, you're going to try to take away our right to vote next. Then crap, I guess at that point we're all just sex slaves and you're no better than all the people in the Epstein files. Disgusting. Andrea, oppose. Stay out of my uterus, you freaks. Focus on something that will help Iowans. Maybe take a look at those cancer rates. Anna, how would this help our maternity desert? This would make more families leave our state. Vote no. Abortion is healthcare. Women will die from preventable causes if this passes. Zachary, these abortion bills are not and have never been about protecting the lives of children. They are about controlling women and keeping people in poverty. If you really cared about our lives, you would work on our super high cancer rates, most likely due to pollution from farming. Or disbanding the lawless thugs of ICE who roam wherever they please, abducting and murdering American citizens with impunity. Sarah, I strongly oppose this bill. This bill strips women of their bodily autonomy and puts their health and well-being at risk. Abortions are healthcare and politicians are not doctors. J. We are already struggling to keep OBGYNs in the state because of the current abortion policies. Deepening the ban will make that problem worse and lead to worse outcomes for mothers and babies. Study after study shows that the only true way to reduce the number of abortions is to address the reasons women get abortions, not to make them illegal. This bill is not only pointless but will cause the deaths of women and babies. Anastasia. Oppose this bill. Leave healthcare decisions like this between a patient and their doctor. Healthcare is a human right. Alicia. We already have the worst ratio of women's healthcare professionals to patients, which creates worse outcomes for women and babies. Not to mention every being deserves bodily autonomy. It is a human right. Oppose this murderous bill, or the blood will continue to flow over your guilty hands from preventable deaths of Iowa's most vulnerable women. For shame on this craven legislature. Our children will remember your deeds. A lot of these people, it's their grandchildren. Already, like, actively voting and stuff. These people are old as hell. Good chunk of them. Annie. Vote no on this bill. A woman's health care should be between herself and her doctor. This is not a political issue. What happened to the party of small government? This is a massive overreach on healthcare. There's never been. It might as well be like, what happened to the party of Christians? There's never been. Like, right? I mean, I hear you, though. Cole, vote no. That's solid. Like, genuinely. That's all you need to say. Because if they wanted to, a Republican could follow up. And be like, why? They don't want to hear the why. They just want you to do what they want. They don't care about this until it's scaring them in terms of like, oh, we'll get bullied. Emma, I am a medical student at the University of Iowa going into family medicine. Laws like this make me very hesitant to stay to practice in Iowa. Like many family docs in Iowa, I plan to include obstetrics in my practice. This law would seriously limit my ability to provide high-quality obstetrical care to my patients. This will adversely affect maternal outcomes in Iowa and will mean that Iowa will struggle even more to recruit physicians. Please oppose this bill. John, this shouldn't even be a considerable subject. There are so many reasons why an abortion could be necessary and life-saving. Stop pretending to care about children while actively trying to remove children's benefits and services. Bookmobile is the most recent to come to mind. 1 week ago, updated. I mean, I do believe, I already know they're anti-books, right? Like, yeah, they're anti-books. And they're making books gay, and then they're like, get rid of the gay books too. Excuse me. Carol. Here's the thing, all these people, all these like people who are on the left of Republicans need to like each other enough to work with each other, because y'all are on the same page. It's just like, oh, well, we hate Republicans. We hate, these pedophile elites. We hate, the Epstein class. But this person only checks 3 of my 8 boxes. And the other 5 I don't really care too much about. And it pales in comparison to the mass oligarchical, fascist tech, like gay tech mafia overlords, billionaires. It's almost a fun sentence if it wasn't in practice like a terrible place to live. For any contents, gay tech mafia, you'll find a Wired article. It's pretty good. It's super believable. Peter Thiel. JD Vance investing in a company that buys up like Defaulting farms? Bankrupt farms? JD Vance invested in Acme from default company. Acre Trader. Yeah. Carol. Oppose this bill. Abortion is a crucial part of women's health care. Don't drive down the number of OBGYNs willing to practice in our state. Anna, stop legislating our bodies. What happened to smaller government? This isn't the Iowa I grew up in. Please stop it with these absolutely heinous bills. You're only going to keep driving more and more young people out of the state. Please trash this bill or vote no. Amy, please oppose. This isn't political. Everyone wants to reduce the number of abortions. That is a universal goal. How can we reduce abortions? Provide free, i.e. taxpayer funded, accessible and effective birth control. Provide free, accessible and accurate sexual education. Improve adoption and foster care systems so that they will be feasible alternatives to abortion. Ensure social and financial support for mothers and children. These methods have been proven to work, except Republicans and conservatives don't believe it. They don't believe that the best use of tax dollars and public dollars is in early childhood development. They think that their individual efforts fund and create the world, and therefore it spins. And Iowa doesn't make the money for the country. It doesn't even make the money for itself right now. Rob Sand keeps talking about the ticking time bomb that is the, you know, state budget right now. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's making my cold headache powerfully mad. Taking away birth control benefits will lead to more abortions. Banning abortions outright will not end abortions. It will increase unsafe abortions and the death of women who, with birth control education and feasible options to raise a child, might never have to consider such an action. We all have the same goal, so let's work together to reach it. Sydney. Sydney, what did I say? Abortion is healthcare. I want people to be protected in making the best healthcare decisions for their personal situation. I want people to have privacy and care in making medical care decisions. This bill would cause harm to women, healthcare providers, and others. Please vote against. Rachel, oppose this bill. Healthcare should be a decision between doctor and patient. Doctors need autonomy to practice the medicine they've studied their whole lives for. Patients need autonomy to take care of their bodies. Adam, oppose the bill. Abortion is healthcare. Molly, I am opposed to this bill. This is a medical matter, not a political one. Hannah, strongly opposed. Abortion is a medical decision, not a political decision. The government should play no role in the decisions made between a woman and her doctor. The fact that this is still up for debate is outrageous. It's actually not really up for debate, right? I think we say that a lot, and it's, I mean, I'm hear you, but it's not really up for debate. They're not allowing you to debate them. They're just saying, hey. These incels won't even hold town halls, I mean. Sam, I vehemently oppose this bill. Abortion is healthcare and women and their doctors should not be persecuted. This is extremism at its finest. Government officials should be ashamed of themselves for voting yes on this horrendous bill. Vote no. Hope, please do not move this bill forward. As a woman in Iowa hoping to start a family, this bill terrifies me. What if my life was at risk and I had to have an abortion? Even if you claim that would be an exemption, a doctor may still delay life-saving treatment out of fear of criminal prosecution. Many young Iowans are choosing to move out of the state and start their families elsewhere. I love this state and want to be here, but this bill would make me reconsider. Please, please vote no. Even if we don't agree on a woman's right to choose, I know Republicans want more people to have children. This bill would prevent that for many. At some point, you're like, do Republicans even want people to live here? Is like an attempt to empty the state out? Be like, have no one live in Iowa. You know, have it be 98% data centers, right, and then 2% the janitors for them. Like data technicians, we pay $18 an hour or something. Sarah, oppose House File 2332. Politics should not be involved in medical care. Medical decisions are between a woman and her doctor. Anjali, opposed. A woman has the right to her own body. Not to mention abortion could be medically necessary. Do not remove autonomy from women. Kristen, the government should stay out of women's health care, plain and simple. What happened to don't tread on me? This is treading completely. Many of us have had D&Cs, most often because we were having miscarriages and our bodies wouldn't dispel the tissue and we would have become septic and died ourselves. Regulators who don't fully understand women's health care have no right to dictate medical care. Leave that to the medical professionals. Yeah, I mean, I think they don't know that. Like, they act like they don't, or like that could never happen. Shayla, many women will die if this law is passed. Abortion care is health care. Some women need D&Cs and other procedures to save their life. These procedures fall under abortion. Many women want to go on to have a healthy pregnancy. Many women are already mothers and need to live to care for their other children. These life-changing decisions should be left to the women and her healthcare team, not the government. Please vote against this bill. Jill, making decisions about a person's healthcare that is necessary is not a choice that should be made by people not directly involved. The choice needs to be made by the patient and healthcare provider. Get your facts straight and stop listening to underqualified people's opinions about healthcare. Vote no. Jonathan, strongly oppose. Leave healthcare decisions to the medical professionals and their patients. Penalizing people going through one of the most painful times of their lives is truly barbaric. Party of small government indeed. This bill is about controlling women and inching us ever closer to a theocratic state rather than a democracy. Shame on every Republican standing by as they forsake their neighbors in the name of power. Madison, oppose this bill. Abortion is health care, and all this bill does is invite the government into a decision that should be between a woman and her doctor. Andre, I think he's about to go off here. Banning abortion removes a choice. Having that choice on the table does not mean that everyone is going to elect that choice. Only those to whom it would benefit. It's a question of one being able to make one's own decision regarding healthcare. The state's reason for being is to look after its people and protect them. Banning a medical procedure that is there to help those that elect it runs contrary to this. Women deserve to have the state leave them free to make their lives as they see fit, especially when it comes to their own body. What happened to everyone minding their own damn business? Excuse me. What happens between a woman and her doctor is absolutely nobody else's prerogative. I can hear my dog. Be right back. Shelby, oppose. Abortion should only be decided between a woman and her doctor. Daniel, oppose. Medical decisions have no place in politics. A woman's choice for bodily autonomy is a freedom enshrined in our Constitution. Vote these sponsors out during the midterms. Here. Casey, oppose this bill. The government has no reason to be involved in a woman's healthcare procedures. They should be between her and her doctor only. This bill will only make doctors hesitant to provide abortion care when it is necessary to save the life of the woman, which will result in women going without care and potentially dying. This has already happened in southern states who have passed total abortion bans or stricter abortion laws. Please don't be the reason more women die. Colleen, abortion is healthcare. This is just another way to make women second/third class citizens. It's past time to stand up for all women. Saharu, any level of ban, any Any level of ban or criminalization of abortion is inhumane. Abortion is healthcare. It is often life-saving. Even those who are against abortion depend on it. Jane, people will die because of this draconian law. Not only people who are pregnant and need abortion care, but also all Iowans who rely on the accessibility of medical care. Many OBGYNs, ER docs, and other medical staff are not going to want to practice in Iowa if they will be faced with the choice of risking lifetime imprisonment or providing life-saving abortions. We already have a doctor shortage in Iowa. This will make that problem even worse, especially in rural areas of Iowa. States who already have this type of ban have seen their maternal mortality rise. Horrible stories have emerged of people who have had to flee to another state to get emergency care. Here, while the pregnant person is exempted from prosecution, it appears that friends, parents, spouses, siblings, or everyone else trying to help abet the person they love could be subject to long prison sentences. None of this is okay, and it isn't pro-life. Please use your common sense and stop this bill. John, oppose. Abortion is healthcare. Stay out of women's personal decisions with their doctors. Esther, oppose House File 2332. These matters are not your business. Matilda, abortion is a human right and medical necessity. A woman should not fear jail time for pregnancies that would result in injury or death to her, especially in cases where the fetus would not make it or have diminished quality of life. A person should be able to make informed decisions about their lives and bodies without governmental control. Elena, oppose this bill. Bodily autonomy is a human right. Michael, for a party that claims small government, I feel there are an awful man. I also have a speech impediment. Not to like bust out the speech impediment card, but like give me a second. I'm nervous. For a party that claims small government, I feel there are an awfully large amount of big government decisions being made as of late. As a person who works in healthcare, the government has no right getting involved. Please focus on improving the country and not what a woman does with her body. Cole, the party that constantly talks about small government continues to provide to prove it only believes in freedom when it is convenient. This bill is an extreme overreach, that threatens life in prison for private medical decisions. That is not freedom. That is government control at its most invasive level. Iowa has real problems. Workforce shortages, declining population, and struggling communities. Yet lawmakers are focused on criminalizing healthcare instead of fixing the issues driving people away. This is exactly why there is a massive brain drain in Iowa. Educated professionals, healthcare providers, and young people do not want to live in a state where politicians think they know better than doctors. Politicians are not doctors. They have no place inserting themselves into private medical decisions. I strongly oppose House File 2332. Justin. For the last 25 years, Republicans have controlled much of Iowa's House, the governor's office for 16 of those years, and a full one-party trifecta for 8 years and counting. After so much legislative success, choosing to criminalize healthcare instead of solving real problems shows House File 2332 is a GOP loyalty test, and a wedge in the public, turning private medical decisions into political weapons so neighbors fight each other while leaders dodge responsibility for hospital closures, school underfunding, and low wages. It lets them keep running on problems, not solutions. It protects moneyed corporate and ag interests by burning citizen energy on punishing doctors brave enough to practice here, instead of confronting the crisis of democracy around us. Threatening life without parole for providing care is not leadership, it's an abuse of power. Please vote no on House File 2332. That was really good. Armando, this bill will only harm low-income families and further decrease women's rights. Women should have no say in what women do with their bodies. This is also very good. Vote no on House File 2332. Samantha, this bill will contribute to the death of pregnant people. We need access to this medical care, and these decisions should be a private matter between pregnant people and their healthcare team. This bill should not be approved. Please oppose. Mm-hmm. Donna. Sounds simple, right? But it's not, as it will also prevent women from getting care after miscarriages, as health providers will fear being accused of aiding an abortion. This state already can't recruit OBGYN health providers. Yet another attack on women by the GOP. Charity. Oppose this bill. We have seen how this has impacted the health and well being of women already in places like Texas. Trust women and their doctors to make decisions about their own bodies that are best for them. Passing this bill puts the lives of women in our state at risk. I keep hearing my dogs walking around. Oh my gosh, we're at the end. Anthony strongly opposed this bill. First, this is outside the jurisdiction of our government. Also, women's health has been an afterthought of medicine for far too long, and this would only exacerbate the problem. Any move that would make women or doctors hesitate on a critical decision in their life out of fear of retribution by the government is untenable. Sheila, I am writing as a constituent to respectfully urge you to oppose House File 2332. While I understand the desire to protect life, this bill creates severe and well documented risks to pregnant women by criminalizing medical judgment and restricting care in emergencies. States that have enacted similar laws, like Texas, have already shown us the consequences. Oh, she says it, or they say it. And Iowa should not repeat their mistakes. Across the country, strict abortion bans have led to delays in treating miscarriages, sepsis, ectopic pregnancies, and other life threatening complications. In Texas, for example, multiple women have filed lawsuits after being denied care until they were at risk of organ failure. Is this a template? In Tennessee, physicians reported being forced to wait until a patient was crashing before intervening because the law's criminal penalties created fear and confusion. I don't know if something should be possessive or there should be a comma in there. These are not hypotheticals. They are documented outcomes reported by major medical associations and covered extensively by national news outlets. Oppose this bill. Okay, let me do a count. This is my estimate. I'm not flipping the camera again. Let me do a count. Okay. No. The final count. For House File 2332. 2 in favor, 1 undecided, and 273 comments against. Out of a total of 276 comments. What's it gonna look like? Oh, the lobbyists? Who went against this? Iowa Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Episcopal Diocese of Iowa, Iowa Public Health Association, Iowa Integrated Health Planning and Advisory Council, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists. If you ever see ACOG, that's what this stands for. Iowa Abolitionists, Jeremy Danowitz, Iowa Medical Society, Interfaith Alliance of Iowa Action Fund, Iowa Atheists and Freethinkers, League of Women Voters of Iowa, One Iowa, One Iowa Action, Planned Parenthood of Iowa. Who's for this? The Iowa Right to Life Committee. The Lutheran Family Service. The Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition. Iowa Baptist for Biblical Values. Anita Fisher. Iowa Right to Life Committee. Valor Iowa. Post-Life Advocates. Iowa Minutemen Civil Defense Corps. Iowa Catholic Conference. The Family Leader. The Family Leader Foundation. Damn. You're just paying people. Undecided. The Iowa Department of Inspections, Appeals, and Licensing. All right. It's time for the religion wars. Lutherans. Baptists, and some selective Catholics, because Catholics, I know you are beholden to something a bit not on the nose for abortion being pro-life. I've seen what your Pope has said. Over here we have anti-domestic violence, the Episcopalians, public health people. I mean, this alone, this is it. This should be the thing that says it for the whole. Like, bill's over, it's done, House file's over. ACOG spoke on this. Iowa Medical Society, Interfaith Alliance, Iowa Atheists and Freethinkers League of Women. So, One Iowa, Planned Parenthood. This is a bunch of men in churches. Oh wait, swap me back. Swap me back. Excuse me. And then it's like, oh my gosh, who introduced this? Well, House. I'm on the legislators page. What if I got rid of the House part? What would it default to? Representatives? Okay. Same thing. It just chooses the different radio button. Alright, starting off with Dunwell. I assume John Dunwell? Can you see that? You can. We got Wheeler. Wait, what about my limited amount? What's with this? Auto adjusting. Okay, who is Wheeler? Oh, Skylar Wheeler. Oh. Thompson. Thompson. Charlie Thompson. Oh, you know what? What do we got here? Let's just review the. We have Chamber, chosen the House only. We have the name of their district, their party, their county, their email. So for this thing, of course, I assume all Republican, right? But who knows? I could be wrong. Let me not stop a Baptist or a Lutheran Democrat or a Iowa Civil Minutemen Corps Democrat. I hope not. They could exist. It's Iowa. John Dunwell is a Republican out of Jasper County. Skylar Wheeler is a Republican out of Sioux County. Charlie Thompson is a Republican out of Floyd County. John Wells is a Republican out of Dickinson County. Craig P. Johnson is a Republican out of Buchanan County. Dr. Stephen P. Bradley is a Republican out of Jones County. Doctor, what a waste. Dean Fisher is a Republican out of Tama County. I knew someone who pronounced it Toma. I think it's Tama though. Gerhold. They all look like, I can't even say it. It'd be so rude. It's like the same suspects every time. He's a Republican out of Benton County. It's just the same guys every time. Oh, what's up, Daniel? Come on. Let's see here. Holt. Ugh. Republican out of Crawford County. Henderson. Oh no, I lost my ability. My powers. Wait, why am I in the Senate again? Wait. Born in 1949. So in the year 2000, he was 51. I was 9. 1991? Born in 1949? My gosh. If you have your name on this bill, should you have been allowed to, like... I can't... The words I want to say... Man, 77. Bob Henderson, Republican out of Woodbury County. Fett. Samantha Fett, Republican out of Warren County. Man. Bound to be at least a couple in here. Gail Bach, Republican out of Dallas County. Hayes. Oh, another one. Republican out of Mahaska County. 22,000? Isn't Polk like 500,000? So like... Not like 20 times bigger, but also... Ugh. Wengren. Another Republican out of Decatur County. Psych. Republican out of Mills County. Shipley. Republican out of Van Buren County. What? Let me just see this for real. I want to genuinely see it on a map. Oh, down there. Population. State's 10th least populous county. Stone. He's a Republican out of Winnebago County. I've seen a few of these people at the Capitol before. They don't really say a lot in person. They have nothing to say. Not everyone's quick on their feet over there at the Capitol. Thomas M. Janeri, Republican out of Plymouth County. Austin Harris, Republican out of Appanoose County. These counties 100% had sundown towns. Iowa sundown towns. No, this list is too small. No, that's not true at all. What? Are these all highlighted? Makokoda's on there? I know for sure. Yep, the list that I looked on had Makokoda in there. I remember that because that's where the caves are in Iowa. Okay. Where do we leave off? Harris? Yeah. Larson? Ugh, a shame. Wendy Larson, a Republican out of Sac County. Travis M. Sitzman, a Republican out of Plymouth County. Eddie Andrews, a Republican out of Polk County. This one's Thompson now. Mark I. Thompson, Republican out of Wright County. And guest starring Nif McCullough. This is like the mascot, right? Or this is like the guest character who is like the dog from outer space. And my name is atypical too. Barb Nif McCullough. I mean, naturally. I don't think what else could I have expected. Man, it's semi intersectional in there. Not really, but they got one black guy and a couple women. Boom. Reflective of Iowa. Okay. That's me going through the House File 2332 comments, lobbyists, and the bill sponsors. And yeah, I guess it's worth the effort. Keep doing it. It matters. They hate this. They wish you would do nothing. It would make their job of being sycophant, grifter, pervert supporters much easier. So don't make it easy for them. Make their lives miserable. And by miserable, it's like, oh my gosh, these people don't want to let me just railroad women. I need the people and they're doing it, people in these comment sections, but to connect with others who, if you're a one ticket voter and you're like, oh, this party is like completely like on the fucked side of this, my one ticket. Everyone else is your ally then. You need to work with everyone else. You need to work with everyone else. Right? I hear you. I see this. I agree with these stances. Like it is technically a procedure required to do a certain thing, otherwise a woman will die. Hmm. Now, I don't see a single person in here saying yes, please do it because I want anyone to have the option to do an 8th month abortion. Not. I've read the 276 comments. Nope, it's not in here. Where's the outspoken conservative pro-lifers? They don't care. And don't say Caesar sings of Caesars because the Catholic fucking conference is involved in this. And I emailed them about several stuff. Yeah, this fired me up, even though it took several nights to do it, um, several chunks of time. And yeah, I enjoyed it. The end.